up, everybody? Welcome to another live stream. My name is Paul Abernathy. Thanks for joining me here at Electrical Code Academy, where we're going to do a trivia night, and we're going to be doing 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code. And so thanks for taking the time out of your day to join us. We don't do these live streams as nearly as often as we used to do it, but hopefully we'll do a lot more of them here in the future, but it is what it is. So thanks for taking the time and joining me. Hopefully we let everybody know in advance that we were going to do this live stream. I think we posted it this morning, so should have given everybody enough time to join us here for the trivia night, where we'll be looking at the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code and looking at some questions. Now, tonight's questions are really going to be based on dealing with dwelling load calculations. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. And as always, the rules for tonight is that we understand that on the different social platforms, there can be slightly a delay. So I have the big monitor on the screen here in the office. So again, I'm going to try to account for that delay when it comes to YouTube, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty similar to the others. So when the timer goes off, I will wait until I notice it going off on the live stream as well. That way we make sure that we give everybody ample time. Remember that when you answer the trivia questions, that you can always change your answer before I finally reveal the answer. So up until then, you could change. And if you win tonight, then Josh will be defending his title. You have a choice of getting the 250th anniversary coins. I take it that all of you got yours that got it last time. Or you could have a coaster of your choice. Or even you could legitimately wear the belt, right, if you win. So this one just says, what's it say? Master Electrician on it, but we'll engrave whatever you want on it. But this is like the one that I wear. Okay, so that type of thing. So again, David, if you win, you can have CMECP put on it if you want, that type of thing. All right. So anyway, so to answer the questions, you're simply going to type into the comments an A, a B, a C, or a D. You don't have to give anything other than that. It's simply A, B, C, or D. Okay. I would do capitals personally. Capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D, okay? We're not answering code questions tonight, Dylan, so maybe if I get a chance during a break, we'll answer. So keep your question, and we'll see if we can, if I can answer it during a break or an intermission between when we go to the chat. So cut and paste it, and when we do open questions, you can ask it, okay? Let's see. Okay. All right. So anyway, so that's it. How we're going to do this tonight for the calculations, and so let's keep that in mind. Also, if you are over on YouTube, you will have some commercials, so you can just wait those out. I understand it, but we got to pay the bills, so it is what it is. So hopefully you'll be able to endure those. Okay. All right. Before I get started, though. Tonight, a couple announcements, kind of bring up the Fast Trax family and everybody on what's going on. As you might have seen in an announcement, I have signed an agreement with EC&M magazine, and I'm going to be writing every other month. I'll be doing an article. And it's going to be focused on electrical inspections and electrical code and the interaction between electrical inspectors and electricians and AHJs and all that good stuff, and how they intermingle and how they may look at the code, that type of thing. So that is what we're going to be. You're going to see that. It's going to be in EC&M magazine starting, I believe, in July. And then, of course, they'll put it on some of their social media platforms and stuff like that when they're ready to announce that. But I kind of jumped the gun on them there and announced it. So, yes, I'm definitely going to be writing some stuff for EC&M magazine. And we'll be doing 12 podcasts a year for them, answering code questions And I'm going to also do a video series for them that's going to be like the Let's Ask Paul type of thing, where I answer code questions for them in video, that type of thing. Okay, so that's what we got going on. Okay. All right. Sorry. So we ready? Everybody's got their code books, got their 2023 edition. What's up, Bill? I see you in there. David, shouting out to Bill, a fellow CMECP in the house. Have an unfair advantage, you two, in the house. So there you go. And David, my pin is straight. Okay, so made sure that was straight. So we're good to go there. All right. All right, everybody. Y'all ready to get started tonight and get in on this? I know Josh is ready. Let's see. And I see Finley. He's up in here. I see Paul Montoya. I see Josh up in here. So it looks like we got the everybody's ready. Dylan, you're up in here. You got your code book handy and ready to get going. All right. So let's go on and get to the trivia. Okay. All right. So as always, I'll give you a little more time on this one since I'm going to explaining here what's going on so you can kind of see it. As you can see, there is a timer on the screen, although it will have about a 20-second delay so that I can make sure that everybody has enough time. So I understand there's a delay. Remember that when you give your answer, which is A, B, C, or D, you can change that answer up until we cut it off, okay? Hey, what's up, Charlie? I see you in here. So again, remember, you can change that answer anytime. You can even start answering right now like Charlie has. But if you don't like that answer, then you can change it. But once I reveal the answers, it's cut off, okay? So kind of just want to let everybody know how we're going to do that. And so as you see on the screen, Charlie and Bill, they've already answered. They're using capitals, and that's all you have to do. I don't need code reference. All we need is the answer, and hopefully you'll see. And then we will share results as we go through the night. And there's a strategy involved, and Josh will tell you there is a strategy that you can play in this, just like you do in the horse racing when we do. Oh, by the way, we will do another horse racing night here coming up soon, maybe even this Friday, for those that like that horse racing thing, kind of a chill and relaxing thing. So we may do that. Okay. All right. Y'all ready? All right. So first question is on the screen. As you can see it, I'll go on and start the timer. So the timer is going to click down, if I can get it to work. Might not be working. Okay. See if I can get this. I'm not sure why this timer is not working. Might be a short night with the timer if I can't get the timer to work. Let's see here. Countdown timer. All right, this doesn't look like that's working. So let's see if we don't remove it from the scene. Oh, real quick, let me go on and add a timer back down here and see if that just might be an anomaly. That's not good if we're already starting out with a timer issue. Could be a long night. Okay, all right, so let's see. We got the timer. Let's see if we can get the timer going. All right, there we go. We're back in business. Okay, so this is a little longer for this first one to give everybody a chance to get into it. So we've got the timer going. So if you're over, by the way, while y'all are voting, you've got 2 minutes, and I will account for the delay. If you're over on TikTok, then you can always join us over on YouTube at youtube.com/Master the NEC. But for those that don't know, you can actually watch as well over on Fast Trax Tube or on fasttracksystem.com. Okay. And also for those that don't know, if you're looking up and answering this question, we also now finally, after 15 years, we have our domain back, theelectricalguru.com and .net. And so we have other plans for the Electrical Guru in the future, but right now that just points to our main page. Okay, so just want to let you know if you see that in the future, we have other plans to use that URL like we did years ago. Okay. All right, so we'll account for it. Now, what I'm going to do again while y'all are answering is the timer on the screen. I'll be looking at and monitoring the timer on YouTube so that I can make sure that I give it that ample time. When that one gets down to 0, then I will reveal. So this one might get to 0 before that one. But I'm going to be using the one on the big screen over here. I have a big 55-inch monitor up on the wall. I'm going to be using that one because that one's got the delay. Okay, so keep that in mind. In other words, it's at 40 seconds when this was at 20 seconds. So it's about a 20-second delay. Now, I can fix that in future episodes, but I was too lazy to do it right now. So I'm just going to be using this one. All right, so if you're over on TikTok and you want to join us, go over to youtube.com/master the NEC, and you can get in on the vote. All right, so the timer is down to 0 right here, but I've got about 15 seconds, so I'm allowing for the delay to get your question in there. And then we will reveal the answer here. All you got to do is put A, B, C, or D. It looks like everybody's on the same page here when it comes to this. So, okay, the timer ends up over there, so let's do the reveal. There you go. The answer is B. And let's see what those results. There we go. It looks like the fastest to answer that was, let's see, Charlie, obviously, out of the gate. But there you go. Everybody's answered that. Okay, y'all ready? All right, here's the next question. I will reset the timer. And let's go. So the next question is on the screen. Right now, it's neck and neck. Again, remember, you can change your answer all the way up to before the timer. So depending on what channel you're at, you'll have a bit of a delay, okay? So, and I'm accounting for the delay, so don't worry. Look at the question. I'll read it. It says, a feeder is defined as all circuit conductors between the panel board containing fuses or breakers that feed branch circuits and the A, main power source and the junction box, B, service disconnecting means, C, main power source and the fuse box, or D, auxiliary service line and the panel board. Okay, so a feeder is defined as all circuit between what? Okay. I love these questions. I love these various ways that they ask these questions, okay? This is the same as the kind you're liable to get on an exam somewhere, okay? And again, I've also got the code up in case we need to go look it up or go look something up in the code. I've got link loaded as well as the table of contents as well as the index, okay? So again, some weird questions. We try to bring some weird questions to the flavor here. Okay, now feeder. Now think about this question. A feeder is defined as circuit conductors between the panel board containing fuses, circuit breakers that feed the circuit and the what? Okay. Play on the words here a little bit. All right, buzzer's gone off, but I see there's about a 15-second delay, so I'm going to give it a little bit of time here for those that are over on social media to get in your answer. We got Bud with a C, got Paul, Dylan, Josh, all with B's. Again, you can change your answer. Got about 1 second to go. All right, and the buzzer is up, so let us reveal. The answer is B. Okay, there you go. So it is the service disconnect means. So a feeder is defined as between the panel board containing fuses or breakers that feed the branch circuits, which would be, let's say, the way this question is asked could be a downstream panel. So again, one of those wonky kind of questions where you've got to kind of read it to understand it, and you're choosing the best possible answer here. Okay, it is certainly not going to be as written in the exactly in the code. So we don't do questions like that where we copy them verbatim directly from the code, because you'll hardly ever get an exam that will have that like that. So let's see, let's show the results here. All right. So we got Dylan, we got Paul, we got Josh there at top of the lead, and got everybody after that. Kind of got we're a little late on that one, David, changing that answer. All right. Let's go. Next question on the board. Let's go. Start the... What are not included in the calculated floor area of a dwelling unit? Okay. Kitchen spaces, laundry utility rooms, open porches, or roofed overhangs. Okay. Okay. I guess I can't add it on the end. I don't know what that means, Charlie. Not sure what that means, Charlie. All right. So again, we're doing 2023. So you've got you got a little bit. I could hit some countdown music on it, but why do that, right? Okay. Now, one thing about this kind of question is we're talking floor area. So there's one question here that is just thrown in, the one answer that's just thrown in, and you know it has nothing to do with floor area. Okay. I mean, and that's it. Kind of letting you know that, that type of thing. Okay, remember, your answer's just got to be A, B, C, or D. Cannot be a code reference. It's not going to help you. It's got to be A, B, C, or D. Capital is probably your best option, just to do an A, a B, a C, or D. But code references aren't going to help you here in this trivia night. We're just trying to see what you know and you find it. So, and while y'all are doing this, you got a couple seconds, and you got about 30 seconds because of the delay. But over on TikTok, if you're joining me on TikTok and you want to join me and compete, see all these people out there that are on TikTok that act like they know code. There's your timer. You've got about 15 seconds because of the delay. All of you people over here on TikTok that say you know code, but you're always afraid to come and get in a competition because you might be afraid to be embarrassed about what you really don't know. But it's so easy to look intelligent on social media until you're actually put under the gun or tested. Okay. I find that a lot with people. Okay. So that's why I used to love being on the dais as a NEMA rep, that type of thing, because it always put us out there. All right. All right, folks, let's do the reveal. Oops. Nope. We got to show the results. Oops. No, we got to do the reveal. That's what it was. Oops. Hold on. Okay. All right, so here's the results. And it looks like, hold on here. It looks like, hold on for a second. Hold on a second, folks. Let me go into this thing real quick. There we go. All right, so this was the question that we had. Right here, y'all all voted. Let me get back real quick. Let me get to the comments. All right. And the reveal was open porches. Now, the reason for that, as we say, if you go over here, you'll look here. The roofed overhang is pointless. Nobody cares about the roofed overhang. That is not even actually any floor area. But right here, it specifically says the calculated floor area right here says shall not include open porches. Okay. So obviously it's all about the open porches. Okay. Roofed overhangs, that should have been one of those ones on an exam question, for example, where you looked at it and you said, well, obviously has nothing to do with floor area. It's talking about roofed overhang. So if you had thrown that out on an exam, for example, then you would have had a 33.3333 chance of getting it right by doing an educated guess when it comes to kitchen spaces, laundry room, and all that kind of other stuff. Okay. All right. You ready? Next question. Let's start. All right. I'm going to start the timer. I'm having trouble tonight. It doesn't want to. It really is not wanting to do it tonight. I'm not sure what's going on with this thing. So there we go. I'm gonna have to I might have to manually do it. Okay, so there's the next question. A scaled ruler is used to what? Determine the number of outlets. Determine the outlet ampacity. Determine the location of outlets, or converting units. So what is a scale ruler used for? A, B, C, or D? Okay. So, and you got time to get it in. Okay, I see the answers rolling in. While y'all are looking this up, or maybe this is just a trade knowledge thing, I'll let y'all know that I will be. I guess I'm going to be in Vegas in June, the end of June, for the NFPA convention. If any of you are out there, I'd love to see you. I am not going to be at any booth. I'm only going there for the code hearings. So I may or may not go to walk the floor. And so may or may not do that. I'm not going to be at the ECNM booth or anything like that. I'm just going to, because of the code making panel, which I thought I wasn't going to be doing anymore. But it looks like I am, at least for one more code cycle. So at least right now anyway. So hopefully see some of you there at the NFPA convention, and that's the end of June, and it's in Vegas. And I'm not too excited about going, but I'll go. But hopefully I'll go to see some of you that may be out there for it. Yeah, one more cycle. This is the first time I did not put any public inputs in. Zero. Because I didn't plan on doing anything, and I planned on winding it down. Okay, guys, you got about 15 seconds due to the delay. So make sure you get your answer in, A, B, C, or D. And I'm doing a little bit of watching the delay. And if you're over on TikTok, make sure you join me. Okay, that type of thing. We will have a Q&A session over on the live. So we'll break in a little bit, and I'll go and you can ask some questions. So anybody that had code questions, you can ask during the break there. So there we go. All right, so answers are all in. Let's reveal the answer. Right there, determine the location of outlets. So the scale ruler is used to scale dimensions, spacing if you're designing it. Determine the spacing based on your blueprint or layout. So a design professional can use that to lay things out. Most of the stuff that I did, other than the large commercial stuff, was, again, we chose the layout. In residential, typically you choose your layout and lay it accordingly to meet the minimum code. Of course, they could ask for extra ones. In commercial applications, things are on the blueprint, specific locations where things need to be, boxes turned up in walls, things stubbed up. It's important that you get those raceways right. And so there's outlet boxes that are placed at certain locations. So definitely the scale ruler is used to remember that your plans may be 1/4 of an inch to a foot, 1/8 of an inch to a foot. And so if you've got to measure something out to make sure you get something in the right location, then you definitely want to make sure you understand how to use a slide rule. All right, let's see here. Let me go back to the clock. All right, so here we go. All right, so are we ready for the next question? All right, let's go to the next question. Oh, we got to see the results here. We got to see the results. All right, so far, Dylan is rocking and rolling. It looks like Dylan and Josh and Paul are all still tied for first. And everybody else is in second, but it's very early. Okay, so Very early in the running for this. And you know what? I also think at this point I want to move my clock. I'm gonna move the clock up here. Let's move the clock right here. There we go. This makes it a little easier for everybody. All right, so you can see the list, everybody, what's going on. You see your name up on the list. All right, y'all ready? It's very close. Let's go to the next question. All right, timer has started. So which of the following is not an important piece of information to gather when performing a load calculation? A, dwelling's total square footage. Okay, well, kind of comes with another question that somebody asked. B, the number of laundry circuits that will be installed. Okay. C, the fasten in place appliances that will be installed. Okay. D, the location of circuit breakers. Okay, so this is one of those questions where, and let's see here, I'm going to, can't see all of the comments that are on here, so bear with me. I'm going to try to make adjustment. There we go. A little bit better. Okay, so again, not that any of this stuff is important. Obviously important. When I'm designing something, I want to make sure I know where the disconnecting means are going to go. I want to know where the panel's going to go. I want to know all those type of things. But when I'm doing a load calculation, there's certain things that obviously of the A, B, C, or D here, there's one of them that I can just throw out right away, right? Just throw right out the gate, okay? All right? Y'all got a couple seconds real quick. I'm going to go shut the door on the office because I can tell somebody's getting ready to come down our hallway. So I'm going to shut it while y'all are still answering this question. Again, you can change your answer up until the timer's gone. And you have about, it says 24 seconds, but really with the delay, you got about 40 seconds. Okay, so let me go shut this real quick. All right. Sorry about that. Just don't want anybody coming into the office while we're in the middle of it. So your timer's going down, but you've got, because of the delay, we're going to give you a little more time. Again, A, B, C, or D to get your answer in. And we'll be able to get you all squared away. All right. All right, so there's it right there. We're going to reveal the answer. See how you did last minute. D, obviously, when you're doing a load calculation, the square footage matters, right? In the 2023 code, it's 3 VA per square foot, right? That changes for the 2026, by the way. That's 2 VA per square foot when you're doing that type of load calc. And of course, you got to know about the laundry circuits because it's 1,500 VA for each one, a minimum of one, right? And then of course, you got to know the fasten in place appliances because if you're doing a standard method, then if you have 4 or more, then I want to be able to apply demand to that to 75%. So again, and I need to know, even if I'm doing an optional method, I need all of that information in order to be able to do a load calculation, right? So really the only one here that doesn't matter is the location of the circuit breaker. At this point, when I'm doing a load calculation, I could pretty much care less where the circuit breaker is located. When I'm worried about that is when I'm going to worry about whether or not where I locate it, whether I have the clearance or not, with the height of it, and all this type of stuff. But when it comes to the load calc, now, not necessary at this point. Let's see. Let's look at the results and see how we're doing. Dylan, all right, Josh, you're going to have a run for your money tonight. You're hanging in there. David's right up there behind you. Any stumble? Let's see here. Bunch of familiar faces coming in here now. Appreciate y'all getting in here. Okay, everybody's fair game here. I'm looking up at the board here. Dylan is cracking the night with the fastest on that one as well. But Josh is defending his title, and he's in there. Paul Montoya's still in there. I don't see Adam. Am I missing Adam in here? Not in here with us tonight? I thought he was going to come tonight. There's still time. We have plenty of questions. Right? All right, y'all ready for the next question? Let's see if I can get the timer reset. Okay. All right, let's go. Next question. And we'll start the timer. All right. Next question says the necessary information for calculating loads includes the heat strip, blower motor, and the blank. Let's see, a heat sink percentage. B, total wattage in kilowatts. C, total volt ampere load. Or D, British thermal units, BTU. So the necessary information for calculating loads that include the strip heat, blower motor, and the blank. Okay, and so is it the heat sink percentage? Is it the total VA load? Is it the total wattage in kilowatts? Or is it D, the British thermal units, BTUs? Which is it? Okay, so give you some chances here. So this has to do with whether you're dealing with heat strip, whether you're dealing with the blower motor, those type of things. Okay, what are you using when you're doing calculating the load? That answer a little easier for you. Do you have any? Now there's a couple of here. Obviously, one right off the bat that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Obviously, I'm not going to give it away, but there's one of them that makes no sense. That type of thing. And if you're over on TikTok and you want to see what these questions are, go over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Master NEC, unless you're chicken and you don't want to come over here and compete. This is a behind the scenes. You just look at this fat guy here in the board, but here you get to participate. Okay. All right. Let's see here. You can change your answer all the way up until I reveal the answer. Okay. So we've got a little bit of delay here, so I'm going to account for this delay to let you be able to give you a little more time to change your answer if you want. Or if not, lock it in. And we'll reveal it here in 1 second. There we go. And the answer is total VA. So again, when you have wattage, you're going to ultimately convert it into VA. VA is typically what we use, okay? For our calculation, especially when we're doing a load calculation. So we're trying to resolve everything to VA, right? So at the end of the day, the heat sink percentage is useless. British thermal units, useless. We're always trying to get to VA, all right? Volt amperes. And that's why we take that and we'll divide that value by the actual voltage, 240 volts. And that's what's going to give us our total amperage. So we need to know what it is. So we will have the wattage, okay? But at the end of the day, for the calculation for the load, we then would convert it finally over into VA, okay? So it's kind of the best way to explain this question to people, all right? All right, are we ready for the next question? Well, we got to look at the results and see. Let's show some results and see if anybody stumbled. All right, Paul and Josh are still at the top. David's jumping up, and David was the fastest to answer. Dylan dropped down one, making it a close race. But let's see here. We've got Bill is hanging in there as well. Charlie is hanging in there. Okay, so there we go. Venus, I see you. Talked to Venus the other night on the phone. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, okay. You ready for the next question? Let's go. All right. So here's the next question on the screen. How many volt amperes per square foot is used for calculating the lighting load for residential dwelling units? This should be an easy one for you. This is based on the 2023 National Electrical Code. And you shouldn't even have to ask, because if you said, well, wait a minute, which code cycle is this based on? 3 doesn't work, Paul. You got to give A, B, C, or D. You know that. Obviously, the change in the 2026 is going to be different than what it would be in the 2023. But we are doing the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code tonight. That's what we're doing. Why? Because that is predominantly what is being used around the country. Nobody, to my knowledge, is using the 2026 as of right now. That's kind of funny because EC&M magazine wanted me to write a bunch of stuff with inspectors interaction and what some of the common things that they argue about on a site. And they really wanted them focused on the 2026, but that's tough because there's really no interaction yet between inspectors and electricians when it comes to the 2026 to argue about. So obviously there's common things they will argue about, and we'll cover that in these episodes. And we'll talk about something that I call the God complex, but we'll also talk about how the electrician can not be open-minded to listen to what inspector says and vice versa. So we're going to cover all those, and I will go into the dark and dirty things. It's going to be something kind of new for EC&M magazine because they really don't do inspector-driven stuff. They really don't do anything other than engineering design, electrical design, electricians. So you have IAEI, which really is kind of a different realm, okay? All right, guys, timer's gone off, but I'm giving you a few extra seconds here to answer or change your answer if you want. You can always change it up until I reveal the results. So is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, this should be a pretty common question for most anybody. So let's go on and give the answer. Ready? There you go. 3 VA per square foot. Okay, that's what we're going to be using in the calculation. Okay. All right, so for the 2026 edition of the National Electrical Code, this right here changes to 2 VA per square foot. But the 3 VA per square foot is still in the code. That's for use for calculating other things, for the number of circuits and stuff like that you would have. You wouldn't use the 3 VA for doing that now, but in the 2026, you use 3 VA for circuit calculation. And then, of course, for the number of branch circuits you would need. But, for the 2026, it does drop to 2 VA per square foot. But again, many of you are not even going to be on that edition of the code for quite a while. I look for the first, probably Massachusetts will probably, if they already haven't done it, I don't know, I'm not in Massachusetts, but they might have already adopted the 2026. I don't know. But Texas will probably in September 1st. That type of thing. So, okay. So, and the people ask me, what is the reason for this? So a lot of people ask, what is the reason that they dropped it? Is because, again, circuits are much, the loading is much more efficient. Lighting, LEDs, energy codes, all those type of things are much more energy efficient today. So dropping it to 2 VA per square foot is, it's going to be fine. So it's not going to be a problem. Massachusetts have released amendments. Yeah, that's cool. Probably not officially adopted it yet, but I don't know if they've actually adopted the 2026 with amendments. But they usually are the first. And I don't know if that's just because, NFPA is there, but they usually are the first, and then other states follow after that. All right. Okay, let's see the results here. What do we got going on? All right. So Paul and Josh are neck and neck. It's going to be a fight tonight. David is hanging right there. And Dylan is right there as well. So is William. All right. So I got our CMECPs are hanging up there at the top. Okay. So there you go. As you can see on the screen, that's what we've got going on. By the way, if you're over on TikTok and you want to join us, go over to YouTube channel and join us. And by the way, I am master the NEC on all social channels except for LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I am just my name, Paul Abernathy, and you can't miss this face, right? Okay, that type of thing. What's up, AC 149, third year apprentice? Oh, cool. Well, tell your foreman to thank your foreman. I'm glad you joined us. Glad you joined us. All right. All right, y'all ready for the next one here? Let me go on and see if I can't get this timer restarted. Reset this timer. And we'll go to the next question. It is a nail biter. All right, the next one. His next question is on the screen. It says, what shall be calculated using the outside dimensions of each floor of a one-family dwelling? The lighting load, the residential space, the load capacity, or the floor area? Okay, now think about this. We're talking electrical, right? So stop and think a little bit. We shall be computing, what shall be computed using the outside dimensions of each floor on a one-family dwelling? Okay, now remember, this is going to be an interesting one that I'll expand on, but obviously when we're doing a calculation, the floor, well, I'm not going to give it away because I'm notorious for this, is I'll just start talking it and give away an answer because I don't want to, yeah, there we go. The answers are rolling in. If you're coming in late, you still got plenty of time because we have plenty of questions tonight, right? But get them in. You can change your answer all the way up until the reveal. So you have 47 seconds. You can always change it if you don't like the answer you gave, because it will always take whatever the last one that you gave before I do the reveal, that type of thing, all right? And I'll elaborate on some of these as we go, because tonight we're really just talking about things that have to do with load calcs, things that have to do with the dwelling calculation that you have to be aware of. That's what we're going to be talking about pretty much tonight. Let's see here. While y'all are doing this, any other news I can give you? Some people are asking about our 2026 program. It is probably not going to be released until probably June now. Okay, somewhere in June, that type of thing. All right, you have about 15 seconds. We're going to give a little bit of delay for let everybody have a chance to get their answer in or change your answer. But it looks like our 2026 program is going to be ready probably in the first of somewhere in June. A little bit of delay because of the deal with EC&M and writing for them, and all this is kind of taking a little bit of my time. The article is supposed to come out in July for those that are wondering. So hopefully the first installment will be in July. Okay. All right. All right. Get your answers in. We're going to show the reveal. There you go. So the floor area. So what shall be computed using the outside dimensions of each floor of a one-family dwelling? Now, why would it be this? Because we have to know what the floor area is by using the outside dimensions in order to be able to calculate it and multiply it by 3. So when computing it, a lot of times we went too far and said the lighting load. Well, yeah, the lighting load is what we're going to use at the end, but we have to calculate using the outside dimensions. Why? Because I need to know what the actual floor area is in order to be able to do what? Multiply it by 3 in order to be able to start to do my calculation, okay? So this is one of those questions that, we can get so far ahead and say, well, what shall be computed using the outside dimensions of each floor? The lighting load. Well, yeah, but there's a step in there. We'd have to take the outside dimensions of the floor area, right? And then we'd have to multiply it by 3. So this question wasn't asking, it just wanted to know when you're computing using the outside dimensions to do what? Well, we want the outside dimensions so that we can actually know what the floor area is, so then we can use it in a load calculation. You get what I'm saying? So again, not a trick question, but this is very common of the type of questions that as electricians we'll read into it really quickly and then realize, is it asking me one step because I'm an electrician, so I'm thinking already ahead, thinking, oh, it's 3VA times what? No, what am I using the outside dimensions for? To find the floor area first, right? Does that make sense now? Width times length in order to give me the actual floor area. And once I know the floor area, then I can multiply that by 3 VA per square foot. Not a trick question, but it may have given an opportunity for others to catch up. So let's see what the results are. Yes, it did. And Dylan used that opportunity to pull back in a tie for first place with Josh and Paul. So they opened the door and allowed to get back in there. Okay. So you might get a few more of those questions tonight where we open the door and let you in. Okay. Okay. Now that is not true. Let's hold on. Let's look at that, because that is not true. I get that a lot. Somebody will say, well, they're both correct, right? And that is typically when somebody does not want to give up the fact they got it wrong. So if you look at the code, it tells you that I have to take the outside dimensions to get the floor area, right? That's what it says in the code. Let's go look at it. So right here, floor area. Okay, so the floor area for each floor shall be calculated from the outside dimensions. That's to get the floor area. Nowhere in here does it say anything about multiplying this by 3 VA per square foot yet. That's a load calc. We haven't gotten there yet, right? So that is one of those questions where no, A isn't correct because we haven't gotten there. Not a trick question either. It's one of those things where you have to read it and understand the question, okay? No trick involved. It is a matter of what is it asking? And in fact, it's verbatim right pretty much from the code in this case, where it says, how do you determine the floor area? Well, the floor area is determined by the outside dimensions. Didn't ask about the calculation yet. Hadn't gotten there. So not a trick question, just though you got to stop and read how the question is given. Okay. So here we see there's an opportunity right here. So Dylan, Paul, and Josh are all there hanging on right there. All right. All right, let's see here. Let's let me make sure I got I'm not sure of the timer. All right, the timer is I got to set the timer here, folks. Hold on. All right, let's go. All right, ready for the next question? All right, so let's go here. Next question. There we go. Start the timer. All right, stop and think about the questions now. Okay. What must be included when calculating a dwelling unit service? Detached garage space loads. B, crawl space branch circuits. C, refrigeration equipment loads. Or D, small appliance branch circuits. All right, think about this, okay? So this is thinking about the dwelling unit and its service, okay? At this point, based on what we know, what would be the best plausible answer here, okay? Based on what we know in the question, okay? Do we know if this building has a garage? Do we know anything in here about refrigeration equipment loads? Do we know anything in here about crawl space branch circuits? Things like that. But there are certain things in here that we know that's required for us to take in consideration directly when we're doing a load calculation for a dwelling unit, okay? So this is just some examples. Like I said, Venus, this is some examples of, be honest with you, these are some type of questions that you may get on an exam somewhere, and we're wanting a very heavy code-laden type of question when it's one of those where you just got to do, you know, deductive logic and reasoning and look at it and go, well, all right, there's certain things in the question that I don't know. There's certain things that you didn't give me, right? So, but there are certain things that I know as a given, right? And so that's the kind of thing that we're looking for to see. And if there's any in here that we want to challenge, I've got my code book handy and we'll go challenge it. So if those are over on TikTok, you want to join us, over on the live stream. We are live over on our YouTube channel. But we're also at Master the NEC on Facebook and Paul Abernathy on LinkedIn if you want to watch there. And you can participate on all those channels. Okay. All right, guys, coming down to a couple seconds. Here we go. We're going to do the reveal. There you go. Small appliance brand circuit, because we know that in a load calculation, you have to have a minimum of 2 small appliance brand circuits, right? We have the 3 VA per square foot. We got that. There's nothing in there that talks about the crawl space branch circuit. There's nothing in there that says refrigeration. In fact, the refrigerator typically is on the small appliance branch circuit. Now, the code does allow for me to run an individual branch circuit to refrigerator. And guess what? If I do that, I do not have to add any additional load to the calculation, because it also could be on the 20 amp small appliance branch circuit. The code allows for that. In fact, it tells you to do that, but then it gives you the ability to not put it on that. So there's no extra calculation necessary for that. And of course, detached garage load space. Well, not every dwelling has a detached garage, so there's not enough information here for us to take any of that into consideration when it comes to the service calculation. That may come into play when we're doing the feeder calculation, right? But it doesn't come into play when we're doing the service calculation. What's up, Melting Toast? Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining us. I feel like so many of you, it's been so long since I've done a live. It's only been a couple of weeks, but I feel like it's been almost forever since I've done one. Okay. So, by the way, anybody out there who is preparing for an electrical exam, there is no better way to do it than our Fast Trax program. And you can check that out at fasttracksystem.com if you're interested in that. All right, so let's go on and reveal the answer. Oh, we already revealed the answer. Small appliance branch circuit. Makes sense. Let's look at the results. All right, let's see here. Paul and Josh and Dylan is right there in third place, tied with David and Bill. And Louie's in there. Charlie's hanging in there. All right. Venus is in there for you, all within striking distance. So again, if you're coming in late, yeah, don't think that you can't join us, because if you're coming in late, there's plenty of questions. There are going to be some weird ones that Josh maybe may falter on it or something like that. Okay, so you never know, but hang in there. But again, it's all good to get used to using your code book. So again, I encourage you to answer, even if you say to yourself, whoa, wait a minute, those guys are too far ahead of me now. No, don't, okay? What is that? AC says, I am doing this for my 3rd year final exam. Wish me luck. I wish you luck, my friend. Absolutely. Venus, there is actually this week only. There is a special if you purchase the enhanced 2023 edition of our Fast Trax program, the enhanced version. Glad you say that, Venus. Then you are going to be able, there's instructions. You have to send us a copy of your receipt. Email's fine. And we will include in your profile the 2023 grounding and bonding. So yes, it's like a $300 value. If you purchase the enhanced 2023, it has to be the 2023 enhanced this week. Then we will include the grounding and bonding in there, that type of thing. What's up, Pedro? How's it going? I'm doing good. What days do you run these lives? As the guys will tell you in here, as everybody will tell you, it's very random. Only way to know is if you subscribe, and I'll let you know usually the day of, but I don't do them like I used to on a regular basis. I don't do nearly the streams that I used to. So again, it's rare to catch me, but if you do subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will get a notification. And always check back. And I try to publish it. But the biggest thing for everybody is make sure you're joining our own forum over on necchat.com. That's necchat.com. Because over there, I always post it first on our own forum. Okay, so join us on our own forum, that type of thing. You had to watch your daughter's softball game? That's way more important, my friend. Build those memories. When you get my age and you get a son like mine, you want to forget those memories. But, build those memories because you want to have them, definitely. So that's way more important. So you're forgiven. All right, let's go. Let me see if I can get the clock reset. And let's see here. Let's go to the next question. There we go. Let's start it. All right. Next question. How many small appliance branch circuits must a dwelling unit have? Okay, we're giving you some easy ones this week. You should know this. How many small appliance branch circuits? You have to watch this on mute? Why is that? Because I'm too loud? Hey, what's up, Angel? Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here, my friend. So do I have it turned up, audio turned up really loud? Am I coming across? Am I distorted? Somebody let me know, because I can turn down the volume if I'm a little distorted. Just let me know how the audio is coming through. 2's not going to work. You got to put A, B, C, or D. And I prefer to use capital A, B, C, or D. This is almost a gimme. Most of you should know this. You have a minimum number of small appliance branch circuits. Now, what's interesting about this minimum rule is you have to have a minimum of a certain number. But if you have more small appliance branch circuits in the dwelling, you do have to still account for them. They're 1,500 VA each. So if I had 6 small appliance branch circuits, then guess what? I'm going to have 1,500 VA times 6. And I'm going to include that in my load calculation, okay? So again, there is a minimum number, right? Minimum number, but you still, if you have more than that minimum number, which is the question below, then you have to account for them. A lot of people think you don't, but you do. You have to account for it. So it's answer A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 4. This should be a gimme for everybody. So this sounds good? Cool. Appreciate that. All right, there goes the buzzer. There is a slight delay on some of the social stuff, so I will kind of let that go and give a little bit of delay here in case you want to change it. Yep, we started about it. Yep, it's been just about an hour ago. All right, so let's do the reveal. See the answer? 2. So in the National Electrical Code, you have to have a minimum of 2 small appliance branch circuits, right? So if we're over in the NEC and we're going to load calculations down here, right? And we're in the general, and you'll see all of this good information right here, right? But then you're going back here. Oops. Oh, got to get back to the. There we go. All right, so it makes it look a little more wonky than normal. Oops. Let's just scroll down. All right, so here we go for. It doesn't want to scroll tonight. That's for sure. Where are you? It does not want to scroll. It's like acting like it's acting goofy on me, folks. I don't know why it's doing that. Huh. Anyway, it's acting goofy. It's kind of stuttery, but that's okay. All right, so if we go here and we look at branch circuits and we look at small appliance right here, the minimum number, right? So it says, in addition to the number of branches required by other parts of this section, it says 2 or more 20 amp small appliance branch circuits shall be provided for all receptacle outlets specified in 210.52b. That's your spacing requirements, okay? So minimum of 2. Here's your laundry we talked about, and you have to have at least 1, okay? 20 amp, that type of thing, okay? All right, so minimum of 2, but again, remember, that is, it says it has to be a minimum, okay? but it says 2 or more. So if I have more than 2, just remember in your load calculation, they're 1,500 VA each. You have to account for them, okay? Yeah, it might be your PC because I'm watching it on mine and it's not buffering. So could be your connection or whatnot for that. Buffering is usually 99.9% always on the receiving end. It's buffering signal, that type of thing. All right, let's get back to trivia. All right, so let's do the reveal. Show the results here. What do we got here? Okay, Paul and Josh are neck and neck. David's right there in tied for second there with the 2 CMECPs are neck and neck in second, just kind of lurking there, waiting to prance. But everybody's still in the game, okay? I like it. Everybody's still up there, still have an opportunity. So cool. All right. So let's see if we can't reset this timer. And let's go to the next question. Some easy ones tonight. Y'all ought to be able to get these. All right. Each laundry branch circuit is calculated at no more than 1,500 VA. That's A. B, no less than 1,500 VA. C, no more than 1,000 volt amperes. Or D, no less than 1,000 volt amperes. Interesting question. Okay. So each laundry circuit, okay, no more than 1,500, no less than 1,500. That's going to be interesting answer here. Okay. See how it goes here on this one. So there is a better answer, okay? Because when you say something is, well, I'll wait until the end. There is a way that this answer that could throw people, but you have to read the question. And you really, in this case, you have to read the answer. Say, when I read something, and I don't want to give it away yet, so I'm not going to say it, but there is a tricky way to read this question, and it could cause you to get it wrong on an exam, and I'll explain it. And it's kind of why a question like this is thrown out there, because there will be a fair amount of people that will read this very quickly, and miss it, okay? So let's see here. You've got about just a little, about 50 seconds, even though it says 34 on the screen, there is a delay. So I'm allowing for the delay. You get a chance to change your answer. Okay, all the way up until we do the reveal. Okay, but let's see here. I'm quite interested because, again, these questions come from a database, and I do not look at these ahead of time. Why? Because I want to see if there's any that I disagree with as well. Okay, so when I pull these up, they are not from my database. Okay, so if you're over on TikTok and you want to join the live, okay, join us over there. Okay. Paul, are you giving the answers away over here on TikTok? All right, so there's the timer. You got about 10 seconds because of the delay. I'll give you an opportunity to change your answer here at the last minute before I do the reveal. And I'll see if I agree with the reveal. All right, there it is. We're going to do the reveal. Boom. Okay. All right. So why is it not less than 1,500 VA? First of all, ooh, Josh, I think you might have missed out on that, Josh. I don't know. You might have come in after the reveal, even the delay, because you had A up there. We'll see. So when we do the load calculation, when we say no more than 1,500, that implies that it could be less than 1,500. Okay? So in the language, it says not less than 1,500. So if you were to pull it straight out of the language, as I think Dave has got on the screen, so one of those things where the implications of it saying not more than 1,500 would maybe imply that it could be less than 1,500, right? So how I could have made this question even more difficult is put an S on the circuits. And again, 1,500 is the minimum. If I had 2, then I had to count 1,500 for each. So ultimately, the laundry branch circuits would have been more than 1,500. You get what I'm saying? So in this question, there was 2 questions, and this is what we do when we do in an exam. If you're in an exam and you're second guessing yourself, you want to remove the things that you know are not, they're not answers that are correct, right? C and D, just there's no way these could ever be. For even what we all know, there's no way that C and D could be plausible, because we already know that the laundry requires it to be 1500. So as Dave is shown, right? If we go to laundry now, let's go to the actual load calculation. It gives us some values on this, right? Let me put this down here, all right? So let's go down here. So scroll. Let me scroll. Why is my scroll? This is definitely not your screen stuttering, David. This is me scrolling. Okay, trying to get the scroll to work. Okay, because the scroll doesn't want to work real easy. Okay, just doesn't want to. Right now, I'm trying to scroll it all down so that I can scroll back, because I want it to load itself. Okay, so here is 220.52. Here's the laundry, and it says a load of not less than 1500. So in this case, it's verbatim. So the not less than was there. So there is no second guessing yourself, Josh. You should have gone right there and seen this for load calc if you had your code book. But again, what I would have done in this is realizing when it comes to the language itself lends itself to say, well, it can't be A. It has to be B. That's it. That type of thing. Even though the language is right there, it just, the way it's written, it just would lead me to say, it really has to be that. Okay. So let's see here how we did for the results. And let's see. Okay, yes, Paul has jumped up into the lead. Paul. David is in second. So is Butts, Will, Bill, and Josh. Okay, you're still in it, Josh. Don't give up. Plenty of time. Paul could falter. Even though he's over here on TikTok giving away the answers. Okay, so is Josh. Don't y'all be going over on TikTok and colluding. Okay, don't be doing that. All right. Let me get to the next one here. All right. Let's go to the next question. Y'all ready? There we go. Okay, next question is live and running. Yeah, it's funny. That always does that with the 8. It's the 8 with the smiley face, always does the emoji with the glasses. That's why when I'm doing that, when I'm writing stuff on a computer, I have to actually use square brackets instead of the parentheses in order for it to show the B. Otherwise, it does that little emoji. Okay, VA, volt amperes, can be derated by using table 220.55 demand factors and all of the applicable notes. If individual household cooking appliances are rated more than 1,000 watts, 1,250 watts, 1,500 watts, or 1,750 watts. So the question is, can I use the demand factors of 220.55 in that table? And where does that come in when I get to apply demand factors or derating? Okay, because without that threshold, I have to take it at its nameplate value. So in order for me to be able to do some derating on the household cooking appliances, there is a threshold. And what is it? Is it A, B, C, or D? Go to your code book. I got multiple answers here on the screen. You got to go look it up to see. Interesting question here, because I do get this question from people quite a bit when they ask about table 220.55. Okay. So go check that out. If you got your code book, and I know the vast majority of you probably don't have a code book with you, but you should, because you knew that we were going to be doing trivia tonight. Okay. That type of thing. So. And I noticed on YouTube all the commercials got running. All right, so the timer's going to run out. All right, you got a chance to change your answer if you want. Okay, if you second guess yourself, it's a nail biter here. So A, B, C, or D? Which is it? Okay, it looks like everybody's on board. Boom, boom, boom. I think people have opened up their code books and looked. All right, so here comes the reveal. Absolutely. 1,750 watts or 1 3/4 kW. 3/4 of 1,000 is 750. 1 of a kW is 1,000. So that's where the answer is. If we go look in the code book, it's right here. You couldn't miss it right here. That type of thing. So 1 3/4 equates to 1,750 watts or 1 3/4 kilowatts. Okay, makes sense. All right. Everybody doing good, feeling good. We can, vote's already done, David. All right, let's go back to trivia and let's see here. Let's see what the scores are. All right, Paul's maintaining that lead. David's in second. Josh is right there. So again, everybody's on the heels. Paul has got that little slight lead. Okay. It's a little slight lead going on. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Let us clear this, reset this timer. Y'all ready? All right. Let's go to the next question. There it is. Start the timer. All right. Next question. Pedro says, I had it right in my face. Yep, sometimes that's it. It's right there. All right, it says, no derating is allowed when there are only 1, 2, or 3 appliances installed in the kitchen, fastened in place, installed in the laundry, or that are small. All right, so you got to kind of know, since we're doing a load calculation, okay? And so the question really is derating. And what does the code say? So don't choose your gut and just answer, okay? You got to think about it. There's the best possible answer here. There's one that's obviously doesn't matter, okay? And there's 1 or 2 that may trick you, okay? What's up, John? Thanks for joining us. What's up, Richard? I see you in there. All right, put those answers in there while y'all are doing that. I will go over to the code in case we need to go there. All right, so there is a specific thing in the code that talks about this. There is a caveat that has to be met here, okay? All right, everybody's rolling the questions in. Okay, you got about 15 seconds there. Because of the delay, we'll give you a little bit more time. I'm working on the delay. Now, next time I will try to fix the delay a little bit for those, but I am giving you enough time to be able to get your answer in there and change it. Okay, so that's why I'm delaying a little bit. So give you a little more time there to get your answer in. And you can change your answer at any time until I reveal the answer. Then it locks it in. That type of thing. All right. A couple more seconds here. Everybody feel comfortable with their answers? All right. So we're going to reveal it. David coming in here at the end. Let's reveal. All right. Absolutely. Fastened in place. It doesn't matter whether they're installed in the kitchen. Irrelevant. Doesn't matter that they're small because they could be large as well. Doesn't matter. Could be a big appliance. Doesn't matter. Installed in the laundry has nothing to do with it. So at the end of the day, it's fastened in place. So if we go look at 220.53, it says applying the demand factor 75% of the nameplate rating of 4 or more appliances that are rated 1/4 horsepower or greater or 500 watts or greater that are fastened in place. Okay, fastened in place. Okay, that is the caveat here. Fastened in place. All right. Let's go back to the trivia here. Now let's see what the results show us and how we're doing. Okay, Paul is hanging on to that lead. David is right there. Bill is right there. Josh is right there. If Paul falters, y'all are ready to prance on him. Okay, and everybody else is starting to catch up. Venus is catching up. And Charlie's catching up. This is anybody's call. And you see some of the questions are, you know, a little bit weirder tonight. So there is an opportunity for anybody to catch up because we're trying to make you think a little bit about these questions, I believe, because the database was from a very generic database. So again, obviously they're going to, not my intention. It's just the way these questions are typically going. It looks like they're doing it that way. So I've got the code ready in that case we want to challenge anything. All right. All right. Y'all ready? Keep on getting it. All right. So let me get here the clock and let's go to the next question. Y'all ready? There's the next question. Let's start. Okay. What term designates utilization equipment commonly built in standardized types and sizes and installed as a unit to perform specific functions? Is it a receptacle? Is it a feeder? Is it an appliance? Or is it a neutral conductor? Come on. Come on now. Nebraska, you having tornadoes, John? Wow, sorry to hear that, man. I moved back here to Virginia, and it was so funny that when I was in Texas, we lived right on the edge of Tornado Alley, right on the edge in McKinney. We had a siren up the street. That sucker would wail all the time. We had a couple tornadoes happen down the road, and we had one in Frisco. We had one down in we had some down in Fort Worth and all that, but they kind of danced around us. So I was lucky enough to not have to be in the middle of one of those. Now, hailstorm took my roof out, but I got a new roof out of it prior to selling that house, so that was good. But and it needed a new roof anyway. So, but yeah, sorry to hear about that tornadoes. All right, guys, read the question. This should be an easy one. It says, Paul, you should maintain your lead on this one. Okay, if you miss this one, I'm going to rag you and tease you forever. All right. So anybody over on TikTok, make sure you join us over on YouTube, youtube.com/master the NEC so that you can actually see the questions and answer them just like everybody else. All right. Timer has gone off. Give everybody a little more time here to get your answer in or change it if you choose to change it. Totally up to you. Okay. They last until I'm done, AC. And I don't know how many questions it is, so it could go on for 2-3 hours. I usually hang in here until I get all the questions done. And that's a benefit for those that hang around because then they got a better chance of winning. Yep. So I only do these very rarely, so I go through the entire question thing. It could be 25, 30 questions. So typically 2 or 3 hours, some of these streams go. And I understand a lot of people can't make the whole thing, and I get it too. All right, so that's it. We're going to do the reveal. Obviously, it's appliances. That's a defined term. You can look at Article 100 and see the term appliance for that. Let's see what these results are. As I expected, everybody pretty much maintained their position. Paul maintained his position. So there you go. All right. Ready? The next question. Let's go. All right. A clothes dryer neutral load on a feeder can be calculated at what? 20%, 50%, 70%, or 75%. Now, I will tell you, interesting thing about this question is I'm not going to give you extra credit, but I will say this. When we're done this question, I will ask you to tell me, you don't get extra credit, but what is wrong with this question? And we'll see who knows. You don't answer now, because obviously it doesn't matter. You can get the right answer here. But again, we're doing a neutral load calculation, okay? So, okay. But it's not that the question's wrong and it's not that a word is right. I just want to elaborate on something. Just point it out, okay? Because this clothes dryer could be in a remote distribution panel, and you have to calculate the load for that remote distribution panel. And when you're calculating the load for the feeder, okay, then this is going to apply. The same thing would be if you were doing it for a service. It's still same thing is going to apply, okay? But again, I'll elaborate on the verbiage, just so everybody's clear. In fact, I could do it now. It's not going to change the question. So you all know that the circuit to the dryer is a branch circuit. We're asking about a load calculation that would be on a feeder. It's irrelevant. It's still the same math, still the same process for the load neutral calculation. But it was also the same whether or not it was being done for a service as well, do a service load calculation. So it really doesn't matter whether it says feeder or says service. I just want people to know that the actual circuit that's running out to the dryer is not a feeder. It is a branch circuit, okay? Just so we all know. All right, got a few more seconds here because of the delay. I'll give you a chance to change it because we got some people with different answers in here. Okay, and remember, we're calculating the neutral load. And give you all a little bit of time to answer that there. All right, so let's go on and do the reveal. 70%, so the answer is C. So where do we have that in the code, since we have enough people that saw that? So permitted reduction for the neutral. So notice it says service or feeder. That's why I wanted to go into my little explanation for people, so nobody knows that we're not talking about the circuit to the dryer. We were talking about the load calculation for it. Didn't matter whether it was a feeder or a service. Doesn't matter. But here you'll notice, for example, right here, dryer. And here it says a feeder or service supplying household electric ranges, wall-mounted ovens, counter-mounted cooking units, and electric dryers, where the maximum unbalanced load shall be determined in accordance with table 220.55, that's for ranges or cooking appliances, and then 220.54 for dryers. But here in the charging statement, notice what it says. It says a service or feeder supplying the following loads, that's these here, shall be permitted to have an additional demand factor of 70% applied to the amount in 220.61B1. That is right here. Okay, so that's where that 70 comes from. Okay, the 70 comes from that right there. And so hopefully anybody that said 75%, you now can see that we're talking about a neutral calculation, and you're allowed to have a additional demand of 70% for the neutral. Okay, the neutral. All right. So the answer is C. It is not D. Okay. All right, let's see here. Let's do the reveal, show the results, and see where we're going. Paul is still up there. Josh, everybody's kind of hanging in there. Charlie's up there now. Louie's up there now. Everybody's kind of hanging in there. Everybody's starting to come up. All right. So all we can do is hope these guys, y'all hope though they falter a little bit. But they look good. If you look at the scores on the screen, everybody's doing good. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Next question. Here we go. All right. Multiplying voltage by amps produces what? Kilovolts, kiloamperes, kilowatts, or volt amperes? Again, should be a no-brainer. But if you're a first-year student, it may be more difficult for you. So the answer is either A, B, C, or D. All you got to do is answer on the screen, A, B, C, or D. And just think about what I always say when we're doing a calculation, we're trying to resolve everything into something, right? Okay, that type of thing. So read the question very closely. And remember what we're always trying to resolve things. Even when we get wattage, right? And we have wattage and we're trying to resolve it down from wattage down to do an actual load calculation. Let's say, again, everything tonight's kind of revolved around dwellings and dwelling application. So why am I resolving it down to something? Well, there is something that we do, and it is on the screen. It's one of these. Now, obviously, two of these are a no-brainer. They don't belong here. One of them is just a play on words, and so that will throw you. There's only one true right answer here. Okay. And again, y'all got plenty of time to do it. For those that are over on TikTok, join me over on the live screen. YouTube.com/MasterTheNEC. All right. Everybody looks kind of quiet now, so I think everybody's already locked in theirs. Okay. Got a few more seconds left. You can change your mind if you want. It looks like we got everybody's unlocked theirs in. Okay, it's cool. All right, y'all pretty confident on this one. Anybody new that's out there, all you got to do is type A, B, C, or D. And a capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D. And you can change your answer all the way up until I reveal the results. Okay, so at the last minute, you could change it. And hopefully you don't get caught by the delay. But you can change it if you want at the last minute. All right, here we go. Here's the reveal. Volt amperes, VA. We're always trying to resolve it down to VA because then we take that overall VA divided by the voltage, and that's going to tell us what the amps are. And so we're always trying to resolve down to get to VA. So we can add up all the wattages, we can do everything, but we're always trying to calculate it and get the values in volt amperes. Okay. All right, good. Now, restart the clock. Let's look. I don't expect any change in these results. No, David did answer that the quickest, but there you go. Paul's in there. Everybody's in there. They're hanging in there. Okay, all right. Let's go for the next question. Let's go. Clock has started. All right. What's up, Adam? I didn't see you. Came in late. I didn't see you sneak in here. Too late, Adam. Oh, you already answered for this one? Okay. So in this one, horsepower ratings must be converted to what before they can be added to the load calculation form? Okay. Kilovolts, volt amperes, kilowatts, or kiloamperes? Okay. Very similar question. Okay. But again, this is an example of what I just said. We have to do a conversion. Okay. What's up, Eric? Better late than never. No worries, Adam. No worries. I know you guys out there working hard, making a living. I am so blessed that I get to do it now from home. Most people know my story. I worked in the field for many, many years. Started an electrical business with my brother. Worked with my brother for many, many years. If it wasn't for my brother, y'all give a shout out to my big brother, Todd. If it wasn't for Todd, I would not be in this profession. All sparked by a Christmas present he got, and I saw how excited he got over getting some tools that I knew I had to see what was up. And so I went to an open house day at the vocational school, and the instructor kind of took me under his wing. What's up, Frank the Great's in the house? Whoop, whoop. Hold on, I got music for that, Frank. Hold on. And anyway, that caused me to have an interest in electricity. And if it wasn't for my brother being in the family doing that, I would not be in this profession. And I have been blessed to be in this profession. I love it. I love the electrical trade. And I love to see people succeed. And I am so excited. Our Fast Trax program has literally helped thousands of people. Is it for everybody? No. But at the end of the day, it's helped thousands and thousands of people be successful and learn the code. And if that means your business is successful, that means the world to me. All right, so all the votes are in. Let's reveal the answer. There you go, another VA. Again, hammer it home. At the end of the day, when you're doing a load calculation, convert that stuff all the way down. Get it down into VA. Okay, you have wattage. Always convert it down and get it all the way down into VA when you're doing your overall load calculation. Okay, all right. I don't expect any change in the results. Let's see here. Yep, we're waiting for Paul to falter. He's holding on to that lead. David is hanging in there. Bill is in there. CMECP's at the top right there. Josh is hanging in there. Louis catching up. Everybody's starting to move up a little bit. Okay. All right. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Next question. Let's go. Okay. There you go, folks. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. It says, what can be omitted as long as they are never energized simultaneously? Interesting. So, A, the smaller of two or more non-coincident loads. B, the smaller of two or more non-singular loads. I don't know what that is. C, it says the larger of two or more non-coincident loads. Or D, the smaller of two or more compressor loads. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so I gotta have trivia. I will be here forever if I go look up every question. Can't do that. All right, so what do we got here? Got a few seconds. Got a little time left to go look at it. Okay. What's up, Frank? He's helped. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. Frank has donated $4.99 to the channel. I appreciate it, Frank. As y'all know, any donations over on YouTube go 100% back into the program. While I'm doing that, Frank, I should mention this tonight. What you're competing for is the 250th anniversary coin or the one of our coasters, your choice. Doesn't matter which one, everyone you want. Or you can actually get one of our click belts. I use this every day. Click belt. And we'll put your name on it. This one has Master Electrician on it. That's what I wear on mine. I like to let everybody know because I'm very proud of being a Master Electrician and earning that. I was not grandfathered anywhere. I tested for all of mine like everybody else, that type of thing. So, all right. So your answer is you still got a few seconds left. Nope, we're done on the clock. So if your answers are in, let's go to reveal it. There you go. What can be omitted? The smaller of the two non-coincident loads. Where is that in the code? Right here in 220.60 when it deals with non-coincident loads. And incidentally, what that means is if you have two loads that are not going to be running simultaneously at the same time, then it says using only the largest of the two loads, which means that you can forget about the lesser of the two. And why is that? Well, if you have two loads that are designed to not run at the same time, but you size the circuits to the larger of the two, then it doesn't matter if the lesser is running because it's going to be less than the larger. So if you size it to the larger, then it doesn't matter because you're always sizing to the bigger of the two. So simultaneous means that they will not be on at the same time, that type of thing, okay? So now that is not just for things like AC versus heat, because you could have a heat pump where you could have simultaneous loading, right? For the defrost feature or whatnot. But you could have a commercial building that has two loads that are being supplied, and it may have the ability to have two loads run with one circuit, but they're not going to be, they have an interlock so they can't be on at the same time. If that is in place, then I can size that circuit for the larger of the two, Because if the lesser is on, who cares? As long as they're not on at the same time. That's what that means, okay? Okay. Adam, did you get your coin? Absolutely. Aren't they cool? I think it's a gorgeous coin, personally. And of course, I am very patriotic. I don't think there's anywhere in the world that I would want to live than in America, even when we've got all kinds of problems going on. Still no better place to live. I love this country. I could not imagine being anywhere else. John, have a good night, my friend. Take care and be safe out there cleaning up after all those tornadoes. You never know when there's hidden damages or hidden hazards all over the place when you're cleaning up that stuff. So take care. There you go. Josh, you got your coin too? Excellent. Excellent. All right, let's go back to the question here. So let's see what the results. There you go. Looks like everybody's hanging on. Okay. So Paul is hanging on to that lead. All right. By barely. This is a nail biter here. All right. Next question. Let's go. All right. For the purpose of a standard method load calculation for a one-family dwelling, two terms that are synonymous are neutral and what? Good night, David, if you're heading out on us. What is that, Adam? You said... Oh, my yes or no coin? Oh, yeah, the flip, yes or no. Hey, it makes being married easy, right? You want to go somewhere, you got at least a 50-50 chance, right? I know you can do a coin, but this is so much better, right? We have those yes or no coins. What do we got? One side is also the devil and then Jesus on the other side. So, yeah, it's a cool coin. It's available over on our shop, okay? And it's very similar to this. This is a very exclusive coin. This right here is a CMECP coin. Only CMECPs have this coin. Okay? No, you can't get it anywhere else, but you have to be a CMECP, very select group of individuals. Okay? All right, so for the purpose of the standard calculation, the term neutral is synonymous with what? Load balanced, non-positive, charged, or grounded. Okay? Hopefully this is going to be an easy one for everybody. Hopefully. But you never know. We have all different levels. People that are just starting to learn the code, that are in apprenticeship programs, that are learning. And it's just great stuff to learn. Let me just check my glasses here real quick. Yeah, that's probably better. I got multiple glasses because I can't see squat. Even though I've got the diabetes under control, my eyesight's still just... always so wonky. All right, timer's up. Make sure you get your answers in there, A, B, C, or D. Got a little bit of a delay here, so we'll just kind of let it catch up. Also, if you're on any of your channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, give us a thumbs up if you appreciate these streams. It'll make me want to do more streams. The more you like it, the more I'll probably do more streams, okay? Because I don't like to do it if people aren't enjoying it and having a good time. So... all right, so it looks like we got the reveal here, so let's reveal the answer. Grounded. So remember, neutral and grounded when it comes to the load calculation are synonymous. Now, there is a difference between a neutral and grounded conductor. A grounded conductor is an intentionally grounded conductor, okay, an intentionally grounded neutral, right? But a neutral conductor is that it is neutral to all the other legs or other phases, depending on whether you're doing single phase or three phase. So, for example, neutral to a three-phase system would be any one of the phases. To neutral, it would be exactly the same. Whereas if you had for example, delta high leg, then you have the high leg, which is not a neutral, but it is a grounded conductor. That type of thing. So you could have that scenario come into play, depending on the system you're dealing with. So the old saying is, you don't always have a neutral, but a neutral is a grounded conductor. Does that make sense? That type of thing. But when it comes to the load calculation here, it's synonymous. So it really doesn't matter, okay? You got me on a 55. You know what is funny? you know what is funny, Adam, is that I in this office here. You can't see it. I could share it on. I think I've shared it. I have a 55-inch right there that I have that I shine down on me, that type of thing. So anyway, so let's see here. Okay, so let's show the results real quick. David, you said dope. Did you falter on that one? You're still in there. Paul's, let's see here. Let's see here. Bill is still in there. Bill was the quickest answer. Josh is still in there. You're still in the game, David. You're still in the game. See what it looks like. I'm looking up at the bigger screen. I see Code Joe, or Joe Code, is hanging in there. AC is made up ground, 13. Venus is making up ground, 13. These are really great scores, guys. It's not always about the fact that you win. It's also the fact that you guys are really getting these things. And to me, at the end of the day, that makes everybody a winner. Okay, that type of scenario. So, all right, y'all ready? Let's go to the next question. I just like to see students succeed and members succeed and everybody doing a great. That means the world. If when I die, if I left any legacy anywhere in this industry, the legacy is at least that I taught thousands of people. At this point now, it's over hundreds of thousands of people that have either been through our program, watched my videos, listened to my podcast, or used to go to my seminars. You know what? So I feel like I got a good footprint out there. Also, I need to do a shout out to Mike Holt. For those that know that I'm doing this articles for, yeah, it gets you, David, just the way the wording. But anyway, a shout out to Mike. Mike is actually who got me and referred me to EC&M. And so, everybody always thinks me and Mike don't get along. We get along great. I think he's a great guy. Brian, Mario, all of them are great. Every time I go to a convention, we always have dinner and meet and talk. And everybody always thinks that we're at each other. We kind of jab, but that's what people do. That's what friends do. We don't take it any serious. But Mike is a great guy. He's always been a great guy. And I will tell you, he calls all the time asking about my wife. And we have our own family challenges. And he's been great. And he's just a good friend. He's always been a friend for years. So, and hopefully I'll see him in Vegas. Hopefully we'll have dinner or breakfast or whatnot. But he's a great guy. Anyway, he was the one that contacted EC&M and told them about me. Then we had some discussions, and that's what got the ball rolling. And they liked the idea, the pitch. For a whole new thing when it comes to inspections and that type of thing to help kind of grow that thing. So they liked it, so we're going to do it. All right, you got a few more seconds here if you want to change your answer. What percentage of manufacturer can be applied to nameplate rating of 4 or more appliances? 35, 50, 65, or 75? I think everybody has pretty much answered. Okay, so let's go on and see. Remember, it's A, B, C, or D. I do not know if you put other things in there like Seattle. I don't know that it will register it if you put D and 75. I just don't know. So I think you have to actually put just A, B, C, or D like it says at the bottom. Type A, B, C, or D to make sure it gets locked in. Okay? I don't know if he is going to stop his articles that he writes for them now. Yes. And me and Ryan Jackson are going to take over those. Okay. All right, let's do the reveal. And there it is, 75. That type of thing. All right. In fact, I think Mike's last one is June. So that's why we'll be taking it over in July. And I'm excited too. Ryan Jackson's doing it. He's going to do some great stuff. Ryan Jackson, if y'all don't know who Ryan Jackson is, you got to be following him on social. He's a wonderful guy. Really a great educator. I mean, just has such a knack for the details. I served with him on the code panels. He just came on the last cycle to the code panels that I'm on. and it's just so sharp. I think he's a great asset to Code Panel 17. And right out the gate, he chaired a task group. Okay, you know, he chaired it right out the gate because that's just who Ryan is. He's just a great guy. So if you're not following him, you do need to be following Ryan. And his interpretations are usually just right on. Okay, so definitely a great guy. All right, so let's reveal the results and see what we got here. Paul is still holding on. Okay, Paul, do you have the answers somewhere? Are you over here on TikTok giving the answers to everybody? I don't know, but Bill, right in there. I love it that my CMECPs are right there at the top 4 positions. Love it. There you go. Josh is still hanging on, waiting for Paul to falter. Okay, so Paul, he's right there on your heels. So, all right, you all ready? Next question. Let's go. All right. What type of grounding electroconductors must not be installed within 18 inches of the earth in an outdoor application? Stainless steel, copper, aluminum, or composite? Well, first things first, you have to know what in the list is allowed to be a grounding electroconductor. And if you know that, then you already have a 50-50 chance of getting this right. Okay? So, now the interesting thing about this question, I will elaborate on it once the question's up, because most people know that I am, one of my areas of expertise is not only serving on Code Panel 5 for grounding and bonding, which, by the way, as Venus said earlier, for anybody out there that gets the 2023 Enhanced Fast Trax program with the database of questions and everything, you're also going to get the 2023 Grounding and Bonding course as well. So that's a special that we're running this week for the 2023 edition. Okay, so and it only applies to the 2023. So if you want to learn the NEC better and you're not already a Fast Trax family member, then this is a perfect time, because that's about a $300 value that you're going to get by just getting the enhanced program. And it never expires. So you get to use it and have a resource in your pocket forever. So there you go. Now the code may change, but you still have access to things like Fast Trax Interact, ask questions and all. That's built into the program for those that do use that feature. It's already built in. So, and many of you haven't even used that feature before, but it's something that we introduced about a little over 2 years ago. It's built into our course to allow you to ask questions, that type of thing. Cut and paste stuff, you know, that type of thing. All right, so here I can eliminate 2 of them right off the bat, because I know that the code does not specifically list these as grounding electroconductor options. Okay. What's up, Charlie? Phone's about to die. What's the matter? What's the matter? You couldn't plug it into a charger? You're most welcome, Charlie. I appreciate it. Hopefully your wife's doing well and everything's going good. Family's going good. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Join us this week, maybe Friday night for horse race night, and we can chill out and maybe have a cool beverage and just have a good old time and do some horse races. Josh can't wait for that, because he's learned the strategy of horse racing on our program. He's learned the strategy. All right. So anyway, all right. So let's go on and reveal the answer here. Okay. Aluminum. So here's the interesting thing. Aluminum can be a grounding electrode conductor. Copper can be a grounding electrode conductor. Composite, no. Stainless steel, no. They're not listed as options to be a grounding electrode conductor. Aluminum and copper are. Now, the interesting thing is with the aluminum, if it's outdoors, it can't terminate within 18 inches of the earth. But what's interesting is that you could terminate it inside of an enclosure that's rated for outdoors, like a NEMA 3R type of enclosure. Then you could take the aluminum. There is an allowance in there for that, okay? And for those that are following along in the code, I can take you to that, okay? For those that are going to be marking those things. So you go to 250, and you're going to go down here into right here. So first of all, grounding electroconductor material. Here you see it says copper, aluminum, or copper-clad aluminum. We don't talk about that on this show. Okay, so here's copper or aluminum, right? And then here you see where it says, okay, so when it is an aluminum conductor, here's where it says that the terminations made with an outdoor enclosure that are listed and identified for the environment shall be permitted within 18 inches of the bottom of the enclosure, right? But if it's outside of that enclosure, then it can't be what? Shall not be terminated within 18 inches of the earth. So what does that mean for me and you? That means that if I was inside, let's say, a transformer or had something, then I could be terminated within 18 inches of the earth, maybe 6 inches up, 7 inches up. That'd be fine. If it's in an enclosure, okay, that is listed and identified for the environment where it's at, for say a NEMA 3R outdoor, that's fine. But what if I'm running it outdoors and I'm running to a bus bar? That's fine. Yes, can I run aluminum outside in a wet location? Yes. But I just can't terminate it within 18 inches of the earth unless it was doing it inside of an actual enclosure that is listed and identified for the environment to where it's at. Okay, so just running an aluminum grounding electroconductor out into a ground rod, that's a no-no, okay? But could I take it out to, say, a bus, right, with screws on the bus, terminal buses, and mount it on the side of the building? Could I run the aluminum to it? Yeah. As long as it's more than 18 inches from the earth. And then when I transition from there, I'm usually going to use a bus that is designed to allow copper or aluminum conductors, okay, usually a zinc coated something, a neutral metal. And then I could go from there, considering I properly size it, then I could go from there down to the electrode if I wanted, that type of thing. But the key here is the termination within 18 inches of the earth. And our question didn't say anything about being in a listed or identified enclosure for the environment. Didn't say anything about that. So that's why the answer is, well, obviously aluminum can't be terminated within 18 inches of the earth. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so there's your answer. Let's see how the results shook out. Paul is still up there. Bill is hanging on. Bill is fast tonight, giving those answers quick. He's got the fastest award again tonight for this question. Josh is not willing to let go, and David is clinging on right there, waiting for them to falter. This is very tight, and I would expect as much from you guys. Okay, so, all right, let's go to the next question. All right, you haven't made it to a horse race yet, Melted? Well, I don't think we've done, Josh, how many horse races have we done? I think we've only done 2, right? We did a test one, and then we did one night, and it was cool. The horse racing game was pretty wild. But yeah, I don't think we've only done 2, so you didn't miss a whole lot. But there are rules and how you got to bet and everything. So we're gonna do it. We'll try to do it this Friday. For those on TikTok who are not familiar with it, we do horse racing, and you go for prizes. Maybe I'll do some of my prize. Y'all know that I'm into 3D printing, right? So maybe I'll give away some 3D print or something. Type of thing. I got these big wire nut koozies coming. Maybe I should give away, what do you think, Josh? I should give away these wire nut koozies for your beer, for your beverage, that type of thing. But anyway, we're adding those. I think they're pretty cool. So anyway, we'll be 3D printing those here shortly. I think that would be cool. All right, your answer, it says, what are not included in calculating receptacle load for appliances? Air conditioning systems, counter-mounted cooking units, clothes dryers, or wall-mounted ovens. So it says, what are not included in calculating receptacle loads for appliances? Interesting one. Oh, last time you were robbed? Yeah, that's right. You got beat out. Josh beat you out. All right. So think about this question here. So when you're doing receptacle load calculations, okay? Now think about this. Think about this real carefully before you answer it, okay? Think about this question because you could have different types of air conditioning systems like wall-mounted units, clothes dryers, wall-mounted ovens, things like this. You have different options. So I'm interested to see this one. This is one of those ones that we're going to go with the answer. But again, this could be the tide, and you may disagree with the answer, but we're going to let it choose the answer. And just, if you're like, oh, that's not right, well, suck it up. It's why I don't look at these questions ahead of time. All right. All right. So here we go. We're going to do the reveal. Okay. So what loads are not included in calculating receptacle loads? All right. For receptacles. Well, air conditioning systems, we're just going to assume that is a hardwired deal and it has nothing to do with receptacle loads. But clothes dryers, typically receptacle. Counter-mounted cooking units, we're going to assume that gets calculated into the load for appliances. Okay. And wall-mounted ovens may or may not be calculated into the load. Depends on if it's a receptacle load, if it's a cord and plug. Okay. Many of these have an option to be cord and plug. Okay. So you may have a counter-mounted cooking unit that is of a significant load, and you may have to count, take that into consideration. Okay. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't even like the question, but it is what it is. So maybe the tide turned on this one. Let's see. Let's show the results. I don't even really like this question. Okay. All right. So Bill has moved up. Okay. So we took an opportunity. Bill took an opportunity in what I call a wonky question to bring everybody back in the running. All right. So now it's even closer. I'm sorry, Paul. That was a crappy question. I don't even like how that question's worded, but it is what it is. All right. So next, let's go on and move. Let's go on and move past that one because Paul's going to say I robbed him on that one. But all of the other ones are plausible. But since we're talking about dwelling units, the probability is the air conditioning system would be hardwired. It wouldn't have anything to do with the receptacle load calculation. I would go with that. If it was a multifamily, then we might. What I tell you? That was Paul. I ain't gonna lie. That was a crappy question. Well, it just makes the race tighter. That's all I can say. Look at Josh. Paul says it's a rigged. He says rigged question. I put that question in there for you, Paul, just because I knew that you'd be leading at this point in the contest, and I wanted to just really throw it out there and get you off. All right, so it says the exact nameplate rating of a clothes dryer should be used in the load calculations, even if it is less than what? Okay. 1,000 VA, 2,500 VA, 5,000 VA, or 7,000 VA, A, B, C, or D. And I'm not going to give any other hints on this one because y'all know the old rule is always assume the general method versus the optional, right? Unless it states otherwise, right? Okay. We got that out the way, that type of thing. A little better question here. You are going to get wonky questions on an exam, so hey, can't be perfect. All right, give you a few more seconds here to get your change if you want to change your answers, but I think most of you know this one. Okay. And for those that are following along, I will make sure that the best I can when I can, I will give you the answers. All right, so let's do the reveal. 5,000, absolutely. So if you go look at the code right here, 220.54, electric clothes dryer calculation shall be either 5,000 or the nameplate, whichever is larger. Remember, this is the standard method or the general method, however you want to say it. Nothing says standard in the code, by the way. There's optional, and then it's just part 3. So to make life easier, we just call it the standard method versus the optional. But y'all know that on an exam, for those that are taking an exam, you always go with the standard part 3 over the optional unless the question says otherwise. Always go with the standard. In the real world, you're always going to use the optional. You're hardly ever going to use the standard method, that type of thing. Is there a way to get extra time on the test? You mean the exam? You'd have to reach out and ask your test facility. I have heard that they will give time if you have a disability, like dyslexia or some kind of a medical condition. I have heard that they will grant additional time, but that's really something you need to take on a one-on-one basis and call your test center and ask them if they have something in there to accommodate. Usually, if it's a disability, that they have to accommodate. So now, it's not just because you want more time. No, that wouldn't be fair to everybody out there that takes a test. Or you feel like you're a little slow. That's not fair. But if you have a medical condition, dyslexia, or something that is documented, or you get a doctor's note, you go to a doctor and ask them to give you a letter saying you have a dyslexia or whatever, then you could present that and they may give you extra time. But yeah, don't go to the test center thinking that you can present that to the person that takes all your information at the door, because they don't care. You have to kind of do it up front. So make sure you do that if you do. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if you have something that you need additional time, that type of thing. Okay, dyslexia is a real thing, and so I'm so glad I don't have that, but I do know some people that do, and they really do struggle to read things. So keep that in mind. All right, let's see what we're doing for these results. All right, neck and neck. Bill, CMECP 2020. Paul, right there, neck and neck. Let's see here. And David is right there. Josh is right there, waiting in the wings. Louie snuck up out of nowhere. Wow, that is really good. Y'all are doing a great job. I'm really impressed, all of you. Just look at those scores. Look, guys, sometimes it's not always, look, y'all know me. People say some nasty stuff about me on social media that don't even know me. But let me tell you what, it's really, the whole goal here is to make you folks better. It's not about this. When I come on and do these, and I take my time to do these, it's because I really want you to be better electricians and learn the code and make you better. And this is a great way to do it. A nice little competition. And I consider everybody that follows us family. Don't believe some of the stuff you hear about me. You want to learn about me, learn me, okay? Because people say the dangest things about online, and they don't even know you. They never even met you, and they say stuff. I see stuff about me on all kinds of social media. I didn't even met these people before, I don't even know how they would even know me. But you judge somebody by the body of work. You judge somebody by what they present. You judge somebody about how they've conducted themselves. Do I have disagreements with people? Absolutely. But for the most part, it's not like I'm angry. It's not like I go on a vendetta after people, except for a home inspector from time to time. But other than that, I'm just about as easygoing as you're going to get. And I'm always here to help. All right. So impressive, guys. I tell you what. I don't know that we've done one of these. Josh, you remember? I don't know if we've done one of these that have been this tight, this deep into it. I don't know. All right. Y'all ready? Next question. Let's go. All right. It says, so for a service rated 100 through 400 amps, the service conductor is supplying the entire load associated with a one-family dwelling shall be permitted to have an ampacity not less than what? 68% of the service rating, 100% of the service rating, 83% of the service rating, or 112% of the service rating. So there is a specific area in the code that says, look, and this, by the way, has to do with service conductors, okay? And this is a certain percentage of the service rating, but it also applies to feeders. There's a feeder rating allowance, so you can use this rule for feeders or services, okay? That type of thing. Now remember, some people ask me, what happens if it's outside of the parameters of 100 through 400 amps, or you don't meet the other caveats in this rule? Then no, you can't apply this percentage. Then you would use a normal conductor sizing based on 310/16 based on the ampacity. You have to meet all of the nuances to be able to use this rule, okay? Makes sense? And we'll go look at that. Now, on an exam, this is not an exception, folks. So on an exam, if you get all the variables that are presented, and we'll go look at it because this is an important learning moment, they all have to be met for you to be able to apply this rule to the service conductors, okay? Still have to be met. So keep that in mind. All right. Got some time to get your answers in there. Everybody's throwing the answers. Look like Paul threw an answer and he's changing his answer. Okay. Got a couple more seconds left. And because of the delay, we'll give you a little more. Interesting question. I can see a question like this on an exam. But I can also see this as a real world scenario because you know what? Could I size conductors at 100%? Okay. AC, that's a good job, my friend. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Keep getting those inspections passed. Keep really focusing on the code. That's pride. Take a lot of pride in it. Okay. Appreciate you coming. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, share it with other people, other electricians you know. Say, hey, are you following that guy, Paul, the little fat guy from Virginia? You got to follow that guy. It's funny because I say fat, and now my brother teases me like I'm anorexic or something because of all the weight I've lost. But it's kind of funny. All right, you ready? We're going to do the reveal. 83%. There you go. Where is that in the code? Right here, folks, 310.12. Okay, single phase dwelling services and feeders. Okay. It tells you all right here. Now, here are the parameters you have to follow. Okay, so it's typically 122 40-volt systems, but it also allows it for you to do individual dwelling units of a two-family or a multifamily. Okay, you can do that as well. And that will be where you have two ungrounded conductors and a neutral conductor that are derived from a three-phase 208Y120. So it's single-phase systems derived from a three-phase system. Okay, now the caveats for service is that it is 100 through 400, okay? The other is this, the entire load associated with the dwelling unit, okay? Why is that important, okay? Notice it also says shall be permitted to have an ampacity not less than 83%, okay? Now, think about this for a second. If I didn't want to do this, that's a shall be permitted rule. So if I want to size my service conductors to 100%, that's fine. Nothing says I have to do this. On an exam, the choice is always the best possible answer. And the best possible answer is going to be the most frugal answer. In other words, it's going to be the one that's going to obviously yield the smallest conductors, right? That doesn't mean that people say, well, code is minimum, I always do more. That's a personal choice. As far as an exam's concerned, they want the best possible answer. And so if I'm given that question, the best possible answer would be to choose the 83%, not 100%. 83%, as long as I meet all those other variables involved. The other part of this is it has to supply the entire load. So let me give you an example. So if I'm coming from a meter, right, and I'm going to the service disconnect outside, right, so those conductors and all of my branch circuits and stuff are going into that one panel, that service and equipment outside, then all that panel is seeing 100% of those loads. So that conductor, service conductors from the meter down to the service disconnect, which is also serving as the emergency disconnect, that is seeing 100% of the loads. Then that is where you can use this rule, okay? Now, what if I'm going from a meter down to an emergency disconnect, which is not the service disconnect, let's say, it's just the emergency disconnect. And then it's coming on through and it's hitting a panel outside, okay? And so the panel outside is doing just a couple loads, like outside air conditioning units. But then it's doing a feed through and it's feeding another panel inside, okay? Well, then from that panel outside to the panel inside, it is not seeing 100% of the loads because some of the loads are outside in the outside panel and it's not. So from the meter through the emergency disconnect down to the first panel, yes, it's seeing everything. But from that panel to the feeder, it's not seeing everything in the dwelling. You get what I'm saying? So the conductors have to see the entire load of the dwelling, whether it's service or the feeder. It has to see the entire load. The most common installation that we have here that I see is that we have the meter and you have the emergency outside disconnect, right? And that disconnect is just a disconnect, and it could be the service disconnect, but it's just one switch. That's it. And then from there, it goes down and hits a panel that's inside the house, which is now a feeder, so it can be anywhere you want it to be in the house, right? Because that's a service disconnect outside as well as the emergency disconnect, okay? It's serving both duties there. Well, if that's the case, then that feeder can still apply to this rule. Why? Well, because you see this one says service, but you also have the same rule here for feeder, okay? And here it says the entire load associated, okay? So you do have some allowances for you to be able to apply this, okay? But if I have some panels outside and a panel inside and some breakers outside and then some breakers inside, then the feeder is not seeing 100% of the loads. It's only seeing the loads that are associated with the panel inside. Well, then it's not going to work, okay? Now, some people say, well, Paul, that doesn't make sense. That feeder doesn't have all of that load on it. Shouldn't it be allowed to be less? Well, it's all based on diversification, and so it's better to have all the loads in it than some of the loads for cancellation effects, okay? So just remember this rule is on an exam. It's not an exception, okay? The key things to remember is entire load. When can I apply 310.12? When it's between 100 and 400 amps. It's a 12240 volt or a single phase derived from a three-phase 208Y120. And the conductors in question, whether they're services or feeders, are actually going to experience the entire load, not part of the load. If it's seeing the entire load, then I can apply this rule in 310.12 A or B. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, we do not do coffee hour anymore. No, took up a lot of time and I just couldn't dedicate to the time. So no, we don't do coffee hour in the mornings. We did it for a couple of years, but we do not do that anymore. There's still some floating out there. They're still available over on Fast Trax Tube if you're going to watch them over there. But no, we don't do that anymore. So that's why these events are very rare for me to do these. All right. All right, let's see these results. All right, let's see here. Paul and Bill hanging in there. David and Josh are hanging in there. All right. And Louis is right there waiting to prance if they mess up. All right, let's go to the next question. All right. Okay, next question. According to table 250.66, okay, the minimum size grounding electric conductor in a system where the largest ungrounded conductor is 2 AWG is. So this should be a simple lookup. And this question, and a lot of times on an exam, they'll give you the table you got to go to. So this is just a matter of being proficient in getting there quickly in the code, okay? But this is one of those ones on an exam, you better hope you get a bunch of these because this is just a simple lookup. Now, if you're out in the field, okay, that type of thing. And so look this up and I will also get your answers, and I will also go there so we can look it up as well when I get there. And then David has something I'll look at real quick. David, hold on here. Okay, let's see here. What did David? I'll have to go back to that, David. You had something. You had an engineer in a high-rise building that the dwelling units were calculated with the optional method with 3-phase feeders in the units. Yeah, so in those, they don't get to use this allowance to those individual units if it was 3-phase. If it is single-phase derived from a 3-phase, then they could. And I'm sure that's not your point, but they could utilize that for the calculation. But purely 3-phase, you don't have an option for that. But you do if you derive a 208 Y120, 2 hots and a neutral, you're deriving it, then you can actually apply this in those applications. All right, timer. Everybody get your answers, A, B, C, or D. The other question that people ask, and it brings me to a point, David, in the last question. People ask, can I use 310.12 in the standard or the optional method? The answer is either or. It doesn't matter. You can use 310.12 in the standard or the optional method. Doesn't matter. Once you size it and you know what the surface is or the feeder rating is, you still get to use the 83% as long as it falls within that parameter. Okay? I appreciate it, Adam. I really do. I do appreciate you. All right, everybody got their answers in? Okay, time is up. Let's go on and reveal the answer. And it says that 8 AWG or 6 aluminum. So let's go look. So what was the question? Was ungrounded conductor was a 2 gauge, right? So here's over here, and here's the 2 gauge right there, copper. So it's 8 or 6. If it's aluminum, it's 6. If it's copper, it's 8. And so there you go. The answer is indeed D. All right, let's show these results. And everybody's clinging on there, okay? Got a good competition going on right now. Great job. All right, let's go to the next question. Start the timer. All right. Here you go, guys. When performing a load calculation for a single-family dwelling, the clothes dryer installed has a nameplate rating of 4,500 watts. Okay. What rating must be used in the load calculation for this clothes dryer? Okay. All right. Remember the golden rule. Read the question and understand what the golden rule is. It's kind of a little redundant, but we're making sure that you understand this answer. A, B, C, or D. And see how you do. And we already kind of looked at this one earlier, so this is pretty much a gimme for most of you. Okay. So we'll see. Think about your questions now, because you're going to run out of time. Give you an opportunity to change your question. Look at your answers closely. Don't be too quick to answer based on what you have on the screen. Best plausible answer. Okay. And for those that say I'm not wearing my click belt, oops, hit my camera. There it is, right there. Now watch this. Pull it loose. Listen here. Ready? Boom. Easy peasy. Love it. Click. Boom. Tuck it sucker in there like this. Click belt. Love it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. David's change it. You better change it, David. All right. All right. All right. B, because it's the highest grade I got in high school. All right, so we got a couple seconds and then we'll reveal the answers here. Everybody got it locked in? All right, let's reveal it. There we go. 5 kW. You scared me for a second there, David, because you had DVA, 5 volt amperes. No, but I was worried there for a second. So remember that unless the question tells you that it is optional method, optional is going to take the nameplate. Okay, in this case, it'd be 4,500 if we're doing an optional load calculation, right? But this doesn't say anything about it being the optional method. So you automatically defer to the part 3 of 220, which is what we refer to as the standard method, right? And under that, y'all saw that 220.54 says it's going to be 5,000 or the nameplate, whichever is greater. Well, obviously, 5 kW, it wouldn't be 4.5 VA. It wouldn't be 4.5 kW because that's the nameplate. It would be 5 kW, okay? So obviously the only answer that's plausible here is B, and that is going to be given to you in 220.54 of the code, all right? All right, so let's see here. Your first back and forth, but I'm sure it got you. You got it in time. So let's show the results here. Yeah, it got you in time. So there you go. Bill has still got the 1 point lead, and everybody's right there at the same thing here. So all right. Oh, by the way, I should mention, because there's a lot of streams out there. How do y'all like the layout? Y'all like the layout, the screen and how everything, you know, looks and everything? We kind of nailed down. Looks pretty good. The colors look good. The screen's nice and big. The scoreboard's good. Everything good? Like it? So, all right. Okay. Well, if you don't like it, I ain't changing it. Okay. Over on TikTok, join us over on the live stream. All right. It's getting tight here. All right. All right. Let's get back to trivia. And Bill is just hanging in there, waiting for Bill to falter. All right. Sorry, Bill. I'm not rooting against you. You're a CMECP. I'm rooting for you. All right. All right. Next question. Let's go. All right. Here you go. Yeah, well, it drops off at the bottom. So it's only going to show so many. I can't get everybody on here. We have 20 plus players in here. So, all right. Let's see here. What is the total load in kW for the following single dwelling air conditioning unit? Air conditioner compressor is 230 VA at 13.5 amps. Condenser fan at 230 at 2.5 amperes. And a blower motor 120 volt at 3.5 amperes. All right, so we're doing you a solid. We're already giving you the amps. Okay? So we already gave you that. Okay, so we're trying to do you a solid here. All right. So didn't tell you that you'd need your calculators, did I? Okay. Adam, you better get them right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna do this myself, just to make sure that this thing is right. And let's see here. Yeah, today y'all got plenty of time. Okay. Okay. A little weird answer here, but yep, it's there. All right. Got about 15 seconds to get those answers in. Remember, if you don't answer, it's as good as being wrong. Okay. Oh, they're coming in. I'm going to allow for the delay here. I'll allow for a little bit of delay. Gives you enough time. I know Paul's like, cut this thing off now. Stop it right now. You know, catch people with the delay. Or it might be Josh saying that. Josh is like, cut him off after I answered it. All right. All right. All right. So its time is up. Let's do the reveal. 4.1 kW. So obviously y'all know it's 230 times 13.5. That is 3,105 VA. Or in this case, since we're working everything in kW, we're going to keep the kW because it's telling you to work it as kW. Or in fact, no. So we did that. And then the next one was 230 times 2.5. That was 575 watts. And then in the blower motor was 120 times 3.5. That's 420. So 3105, 575, and 420 was 4,100. But the only answer here can be the 4.1 kW because the question wanted it in kilowatts. Now, this is interesting. Be careful on an exam. In a real world, it's not going to matter. On an exam, they may give you, like I might give you in our Fast Trax program, for example, I may give you 4,100 watts. And then I might give you 4.1 kW. Okay? If you answer 4,100 watts, you might argue that it's right. And in the real world, it is right. But not on the exam because it wanted the total in kW. So giving me something in watts would be wrong. So we do that in our competency reviews a lot in our program. Again, it's not to trick you. It's not me trying to be snarky. It's trying to make you focus on reading the question. That's all. So all we're trying to do is make you focus on reading the question. Now, on an exam, this one could have been harder because it could have just given you horsepower. So in that scenario, if it had given you the voltage and horsepower, then you would have had to go back in the tables, the 430, 248, 249, 250, depending on what it is, single phase, three phase, whatever. You would have had to go there, okay? And then you would have gotten the amps. And then you would have did volts times amps, okay? But we did you a solid here. I can't say always on an exam they'll do that for you. Now, in the real world, this is just exactly how you're going to do it here, unless you get something in horsepower rating, and then you got to go and use the tables. But it works the exact same way. Just want to highlight the fact for those that are taking an exam, if they ask for you in kW, give it to them in kW. You get me? All right. All right, let's see how the results are here. Let's see if there's any change. Uh-oh, we got 3 now. Bill, Paul, and Josh all tied at 23. Whoop, whoop. This is getting exciting now. And 2 of them right in the wings. All right. Okay. Let's do another question. Let's go. All right. What is the general lighting and receptacle load before applying demand factors for a single family dwelling with an outside dimensions of 35 by 50, not including the front and rear porches? So it's automatically telling you. Now remember, guys, your answers don't count if you come in after the timer, after I do the reveal. So keep that in mind. They will not count. And because of the delay, you need to get your answers in quickly. That type of thing, right? All right, so here is another calculation. And again, it's based on the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code. Okay. So we'll see what it is. And it says general lighting applied for single. It says, what are we doing? Now remember what we're trying to work it out at. Okay. We got a lot of people here giving us our answers. Now, somebody could look at this and go in 2 different ways, right? But you got to be careful how you read the answers, okay, on this one. Because a decimal point And these answers doesn't always equate to being representing 1,000. Okay, it's the best cheat I'll give you. All right, so get those answers in. You got a few more seconds to go. For those over on TikTok, join us over on the live stream at over on youtube.com/MasterDNEC if you want to participate. All right, get all your answers in here. Got a few seconds of a delay to let everybody get theirs in. All right, there we go. Let's hit the reveal. Boom. 5,250 VA, absolutely. So it's 35 times 50, and that's going to give you a value. So 35 times 50 is 1,750, and we know that for general lighting and general use receptacles, it's 3 VA per square foot, at least in the 2023 edition of the NEC. So it's going to be 1,750 times 3, and again, it says before any demand factors have been applied. So this is just the total difference. This is the actual connected load, not calculated yet. Total connected values before we apply any demands. Okay, so this would be 5. Now, why would it not be B? Because 5.2 VA is no different than 3 VA, 4 VA, 5 VA. It's just a fractional element, 5.2. No, that's not like 5,200, right? No, it's not, doesn't work like that. That is not kilowatts. It's not kilovolt amperes. Okay, that's just VA. So the only plausible answer here is, remember, we're always trying to break it down into VA. So it's 5,250. Okay. So remember that on an exam, it's typically always trying to get it to the volt ampere value, not the kW. Also, another thing to keep in mind, that the answer couldn't be A, because you're saying, well, why can't it be 5,200? Because that would be synonymous with 5,250 watts, right? But that is 5,250 K. So that's bigger than 5,250 because if it's kilo, okay? So if it was 5 kW, there'd be 5,000. If it was 5.2 kW, then it would be equivalent to 5,250 VA. You get what I'm saying? If it was, so it depends on how the answers come out, the way you get it. So let's see what do it. Megawatt? What? Where are you getting megawatts at? All right, so let's see here. Let's look at the results. Let's see what we got on the screen. Let's see. William is still up there hanging on, but he's tied with Paul and Josh. David is right there. Louis, out of nowhere, Louis is right there. And look at Venus. Look at Venus jumping up in there with 22. Y'all are all doing great. That's awesome. All right, next question. Let's go. Ooh, this looks like a big one. All right, y'all ain't gonna be able to see your eye. This one's gonna be a little bit here, guys. Okay, let me shut up and let y'all read this one. I'll read it to you. Whew, calculated load in kVA for the following dwelling unit using the standard method loading calculation for a one family dwelling. Outside dimensions are 32 by 45, okay, with a 7 by 8 front porch, okay, so we got total dimensions and we got this front porch. Got to keep it. Has 4 small appliance branch circuits, 1 laundry circuit, okay. Let's see here. It has 3 fasten in place appliances rated the following. Okay, so it's got 1 is 1,200 watts, 1 is 4,500 watts, and 1 is 9,000 watts. Okay, it has 1 5,500 watt clothes dryer, home heating system without air conditioning, rating a total of 14,200 watts. Okay, so in this case here, it's making it simple. There is no air conditioning, so you just have the heat. So this is a standard method. Okay, see how this works out. I might have to give y'all a little more. I might have to give y'all a little more time on this one. What do you think? I have to give you a little more time. I have to give a little more time on this one here to work this sucker out. Oh, this is a good example of when I tell you in a minute, I'll tell you about doing this on an exam. Okay. For your overall. First thing to remember here. Well, hold on. Let's do the question first, and then we'll try to work this thing out. Okay. Put your answers in there. This could be one that allows people to make up some time here. I'm going to give you a little more. Do this. Okay. Give you a little more time. Because I haven't even done it. Now I'm intrigued, right? Okay. And let's see here. I'm giving you a little more time. And let's see. Okay. My standard method now. Keep that in mind. I'll give you a little more time because this is quite a lot of information here. Okay. And while I'm doing that also, I'm going to go over to the code so I have it on the screen so we can do this calculation. We'll at least do the calculation, whatnot. So giving you a little more time to check your work. Nobody says Paul's not fair. Right? Try to be fair. I try. I do my best to be fair. Oops. There we go. All right. Let's see if I can pop this out. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Everybody ready? Everybody feel good? You got your answers in there? Everybody on the, you got theirs? And we'll see if we can't work this out. And then I'll explain something real quick on this one real quick to make it a little easy. Now, yes, standard method. Okay. And we'll walk through this. All right, let's do the reveal. Let me reset the clock real quick. So let's do the reveal. So it says 32.33. And that is the KVA. All right, so let's walk through this one together. All right. So first things first, when we're looking at this calculation, it's 32 by 45. So I'm going to remember that in the code, it tells me that I don't have to count the front porch or the back porch, the open porch. So I take that away. So 32 by 45, let's do that first. So 32 times 45, that is 1,440 as far as the dimension we're going to use, right, to do that, okay? Now, the one thing that we have to remember is in all of this, let's go real quickly. Let me take you to the code so I can walk you through each one of these steps real quick. Get us back here. Hold on here. Let me get back to the general. Hold on here. Let me hold on here. Hold on here. Okay. All right. So let me go over here real quick. We'll go back and forth. All right. So here we are over here. Let me get rid of this. Okay. So the first thing is we're doing floor area, right? And so we had to come up with the floor area. So the floor area, each floor is calculated from the outside dimension of the building or the dwelling unit, which we have. It says for dwelling unit, the calculated floor area shall not include open porches or unfinished areas not adaptable for future use as a habitable room or occupiable space. Okay, so we had 1,440, if you remember. I'll take you back to the question so you can see the question. Okay, so what's up, Shep Play? I'm doing good. Glad you could drop in. So we have 1,440 should be 32 by 45, right? Now we are taking away from that the value for the porch. So it's 7 by 8. So that should be 56 square feet. So 7 times 8 is 56. So I'm going to take that 440. I'm going to subtract 56 from that. Okay. So 1,440 minus 56. And that gives me 1,384. Right? Fair enough? Okay. So now we're starting our journey. And that's 3 VA per square foot is the first thing we do. That's why we got those dimensions. So it'd be 1,384 times 3 is 4,152. Okay. And so that is our 3 VA per square foot. And we've already taken out the piece for the little porch, okay, which we saw is not included over in, what is it, 220.5C. Okay, we already did that. All right, so that's the first part. Now, the next part it says is you got 4 small appliance brand circuits. Well, we know the code says you have the minimum of 2. We got 4. So the code's going to tell us that it's going to be 1,500 VA each for those. So I've got to account for all of them, right? So that'd be 1,500 times 4 is 6,000. So I'm going to write 6,000 down, right? Next, it says that it has 1 laundry branch circuit, okay? So 1 laundry branch circuit has what? A VA of 1,500, okay? So we write that down. It's 1,500. Okay, now that is all so far for our small, small appliance, the laundry, and the lighting and general use receptacle. That's it for that. So now I get to apply some demand factors to that, okay? Now, where do I do that? Okay, so let's go to the code real quick, and I'll take you to that. So that is where we're going to start the journey here. And let's see here. Whoops. Gotta go down a little further. Right here. Okay, so we're going to go to 220.45. And again, we're in the 2023 edition of the NEC. Okay, I'm going to blow this up. Let's see, right here, expand. So here's what we're doing. So we're going to apply this as our general demand loads. So we're going to do the dwelling unit, the first 3,000 at 100%. And from 3,001 up to 120,000, which ours falls well within this, we're going to do it at 35%. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is add that 4,152, that 6,000 and 1,500. Okay, so what do we get total? That's 4,152 plus 6,000 plus 1,500. Okay, so that is going to be a total of 11,652, correct? Now, remember what it said here? The first 3,000 at 100. So I'm going to take that 11,652 and I'm going to take away 3,000 from that because that 3,000 stays at 100%. Okay. Now, that leaves me 8,652. Okay. So in that scenario, I'm going to do that times 35%. Times 35%. And that should give me 3,028.2. We dropped the 0.2. And then we're going to add the 3,000 back to that. So that should be 6,028 VA for the general use, general lighting, and the small appliance and laundry. Everybody with me so far? Okay, so that's that part. Okay, next part of the question. We have 3 fastened in place appliances. Well, The first thing that we know is we don't have 4 or more. So sadly, we don't get to apply the demand factor of 75% that's in 220.53. Sadly, we don't. We have to take them at their face value, right? So in this scenario, we have 1,200, 4,500, and 900. Okay, so I'm going to add all those up. So 1,200 plus 4,500 plus 900. Okay, so that is 6,600 VA for our appliances. I don't get to apply it because I didn't have 4 or more, correct? Everybody with me? All right, so we got that. So what's next? So the next thing we're looking at is the clothes dryer. Now, remember we're using a standard method. So what did it say? It says 5,000 or the nameplate, whichever is larger. We're using the standard method. So unfortunately for us, this is a Hawken size clothes dryer, right? Because this thing is 5,500 watts. So guess what? We're going to use the entire 5,500 watts. Okay, we don't get to use the 5,000. If we were doing the optional method, then we'd use a nameplate. It would still be 5,500. Okay, so the only way this helps you on the standard method is if the thing is less than 5,000, right? Then you can just go with 5,000. But in this case, nameplate's 5,500. That's what we got to use. And then lastly, we have heating system. It is no air conditioning. I don't know where the hell you're at in this country that you have no air conditioning, but you have none. So the total is 14,200 watts. So I'm going to take that 14,200 watts. Okay, which is synonymous with VA. Okay, so I'm going to add all these up. Okay, and I add them all up. And as you can see, I get 32,328. Okay, so 32,328. And so the only plausible answer here on the screen is to go with the 32,000 or 32.33 kVA, taking that 8 and rounding it up to give me 30. That's the only plausible answer. Now, here's my tip for you in exam. This is a question, unless your exam has calculations separately. If this is on your test as a journeyman and you're not in Texas, you're in some other state, okay? And you get this quite a kind of calculation, your best bet is to skip it, mark it, and move on. Don't try to calculate this out right away, and use this when you built you some extra time, because you will get bogged down because it's easy calculation. You just have to go through the steps. We broke it down here so it's slower, but at the end of the day, it's going to eat up time. So now, if you're on a test that does nothing but calculations, then you're still going to mark it because it's multiple steps. What you're going to do is you're going to try to answer the calculation questions that are simple steps, 1 or 2 simple steps. Answer those. The ones that obviously are going to be 3 or 4 or 5 steps, mark them electronically and go to the next one. You'll catch it on the second wave. So the 3-wave method works the same whether you're doing calculations or just simple lookup questions. Make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so that's critically important to see how you do that, all right? Okay, so let's go back to the question and let's see how the results. Bill is still there, tied with Paul, and now Josh has have a 3-way tie at the top. Everybody is right there, so obviously everybody did good on that one. That's awesome. That is not, believe it or not, that is not an easy question. I gave y'all obviously tons of time to answer that, but you know, most exams are not going to give you that kind of question. They're not. We do, but that typically not. It's too many steps to do it. But again, use that 3-way method if you're getting ready to do an exam. Even when you're doing just the calcs, if you have a test like in Texas where now it's 2-part test, make sure you answer the easy calcs first and then mark the ones that are multiple steps, and you'll get them on the next wave when you build some time up. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. Let's go to the next one. Let's see if I can reset the timer. All right. Next question. Oh, we got another big one here. Start the clock. All right, another one. Now, it probably works out the exact same way. Okay. So this one, calculate the load kVA for the following dwelling unit using the optional method. Whoop, whoop. Okay. All right. So optional methods, part 4. Y'all know that. Same scenario here. Looks like it's the same number of appliances, same number of branch circuit. Okay. This will be interesting to see what it comes up at. Let's see here. Appliances. Now, one difference here, remember, well, I don't want to give it away. Never mind. David will say I talk too much. So let me stop. Just let's see what we got. So we've got appliances. We've got 1,200, 45. It's the same number of appliances. We got a dryer. Got it. And we got all the same variables. Everything's the same. Everything's the same. You just got to use the optional method to do this now. And it should be easier to do the optional method. Let's see what y'all come up with. I will go on and move to the optional just so we can see it. I don't know, David. I really don't. I can try to see how many questions there are. Hold on. I know you don't want to leave now. You got. Let's just see what we got. I'll tell you how many more we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 more questions, David. So yeah, it's gonna be a long night. Got 11 more questions. Hang in there. All right, let's do this calculation out. One thing we do know that it's not going to be the same answer as it was for the standard method. We do know that. All right. And I'm going to give you a trick here on how you would have answered this one, how you could have answered this one right away. All right. So I'm going to do the reveal. 29.7 kVA. Okay. Now, here's the deal. I would have answered this one right away because it asked me the question in kVA, and I know that it can't be the same as D, which was the last one. Okay? And I've already closed it, so if you got in late, your scores are not going to count. All right? So I would have... nobody wants to lose that, Josh. So I would have automatically answered C because I know that A isn't, the answer's not in kVA. And I wouldn't have answered B because I know the answer's not in kVA. So I know it couldn't be D because that was the same as the standard method. And we know the optional is going to be less than the standard. So I would have answered this one right away as C. Why? Because it's the only plausible answer. Because you know the optional method is not going to be the same as the standard method. And the other two options are in VA and it asks for the answer in kVA. Okay? That makes sense? Look, I've been teaching people code questions and exam prep for so many years that when I sit in front of questions on exams and I look at them and people submit stuff, I can almost look at a question and dissect it out by just looking at the answers. I don't expect you to do that. But I know that at the beginning, the answer had to be kVA. I only had 2 answers with kVA. And I know one of them was exactly the same as the standard method. And I know that the optional is going to yield a result that's less than the standard method. So I answered that one right away and I would have done no calculation. But that's just me. Okay. And that's how you condition yourself for the exam. Okay. The method is exactly the same as the standard method, right? Is that 3 VA per square foot's the same. You still don't use the open porches. That's all the same. It's still the 1,500 VA per small appliance branch circuit. It's still 1,500 for the laundry. The only difference is the appliances. It's the same as the standard here. You take the nameplate rating. There is no demand factor to apply to that right up front. But you then, once you have all that, Then you can apply the demand factor, and that is the first 10,000 VA at 100% and the remaining at 40. Okay? No, the first 10 VA at 100% and the remainder at 40. And then you would have done the heating, right? And you would have added the two together. So essentially it's the same. You're going to apply demands, but the standard method is we applied it to the general lighting, general use, and the small appliance, we applied it there. Whereas in the optional method, we just added everything up and then we applied the first 10,000 at 100 and then whatever over that at 40%. And then we added the heat separately at the end. Okay. So again, that's the only. So we love doing the optional method in the field because it's quicker to do, easier to do, and it usually always yields a better result. Okay. Yes, but not in that question, right? Because in that question, it wasn't worth it because I knew that this was already 32.33 was the answer to the previous question. And since the only other option here was KVA, I just went to 29.7 KVA, which is close to 32. Okay. But I wouldn't have done it. But that was only because everything was identical. That's the only reason I would have done that. Make sense? But you're right. In the real world, calculate it all up. But that's why I did that, because it's exactly the same question. All right. Let's look at these results. Josh is pulled into the lead. Hold on, Josh. We got music for that. Josh is trying to pull it out here at the end. David is right, y'all. Now they're rooting for Josh to falter. I'm just saying. All right. Okay. It's very close. Got to hang in there. All right. Next question. Here we go. They're going pretty quick. All right. What maximum size feeder or service rating permitted according to table 310.12a of the code? Oh God, this is a gimme here, folks. Nobody's going to make up any ground here. We just looked at this table earlier. So there's a values that you have to remember. Okay. There's a minimum and maximum in order for you to be able to use table 310.12a. This should be a gimme for everybody. Let's get this out of the way. Let's go. You got a minute and a half. If you get this one wrong, well, the good news is we're going to hammer this in your head. Okay. So if they go like this, David, we'll be done in about 20 minutes. Because then all of them are easy. I don't know if we have any more hard calculation questions. All right. Josh, see if Josh is trying to retain his title. Got about 46 seconds to go. For those that are over on TikTok that want to join us on the live stream, make sure you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. You'll get a notice when we go live. But we're also on Master the NEC on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, but we don't stream on Instagram, that type of thing. We also do this over on Fast Trax Tube, which is our own proprietary platform, as well as we do this over on fasttracksystem.com or theelectricalguru.com, which is going to send you to fasttracksystem.com. So, get it in there. Get it in there quick. All right. Don't want to wait. You might get blocked out. Got a few more seconds. We're going to close it. If you want to change your answers, change your answers. This was a gimme. Yeah, that one made it easy to answer because it was the exact same stuff. All right, here we go. Reveal. There it is, 400 amps. Everybody should have got that one. We just talked about it a little while ago. Show these results. There you go. Josh is clinging on. Bill is quick on the button tonight. That's good. I'm glad to see that. That's what I like to see. All right, next question. Let's go. All right, the neutral conductor can be calculated by using calculations from both the standard and the optional method for calculating loads for a single-family dwelling, using the standard or optional method, using only the standard method, or using only the optional method. So we're talking about sizing the neutral conductor, okay, or let's say the service calc. Good question. Again, you'd be surprised how many people don't realize where this sits in the code, and it can be very confusing for folks, okay? So there you go. Get your answers in quickly. Over on TikTok, they're playing for one of these. You want one of these? You can buy them on our website, or the winner have a choice of that, or they have a choice of a coaster, or they have a choice of one of our click belts. Whoop, whoop. Click belt, click belt. I use it. Now, don't expect this to be a $100 click belt, because it's not. Okay, y'all know me. I'm a tightwad. But this is a nice belt. I actually use what we give away or what we have or what we sell. I actually use, whether it's the minimalist wallets or the belts. I use every day these belts. I'm just saying. Now, if you're a fatty, this might not work for you, because I think it'll go up to as high as probably a waist, probably 38 to maybe 40 max. So if you're a fatty, it might not work. You want to choose the coaster. You know, I'm just saying. And I say fatty with nothing but love, because I was a fatty. I'm not like I'm skinny as a rail now. My brother teases me that I've lost so much weight. But, all right, get those answers in there before the clock cuts out on you. I'll give you a few more seconds to get that answer in there. Let's go. Looking up on the screen. It actually looks really good on YouTube. It really looks. I like this trivia thing. Pretty good. Need a master electric coffee? I dropped in mine. Did you? Dude. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do, David. All right. Time is up. Let's reveal. We do not do wireman tests, because all of those are based on the National Electrical Code. So that's another thing I tell people all the time about our exam prep programs. We don't make journeymen or masters. We don't make wiremen. We don't deal in any of that. We teach the code. So all of our programs, and that's what makes us unique, because a lot of people will sell journeymen, then they'll come back and try to sell you a master. We don't do that. I teach you, our program will teach you the calculations you need, whether you're a journeyman or a master. In my mind, you need to be equivalent. The only difference in my mind that a master is somebody that can officially pull permits and things like that. Okay, now the answer's already on the screen, so if you're answering now, it's already been locked out. So it doesn't do you any good to answer after I already show you the results, okay? Okay, so there you go. All right, so let's see here. That's what we've got. Let's see what the results are. Boom! David jumped up in there. Josh, you must have had a brain fart on that. David, look at that, okay? What's interesting tonight is the CMECPs have been right up there at the top. And David was asking, when is this thing going to end? And now he's really like, okay, David, if you pull out on us now to get your beauty sleep, you know, you're going to miss out. I'm just saying. All right, next question. Let's go. Let's start it. Neck and neck. Oh, to answer that question previously, absolutely. You always will use this. It's in part 3. It's not in part 4. So sizing the neutral is always going to be part 3, and means you're going to have to do a standard calculation. Absolutely. So it's not going to use the optional. It's got to be a standard calculation. Okay? Does that make sense? Absolutely. And that is because 220.61 is located in part 3. It's not located in part 4, which is optional. That's why. Okay. All right. According to table 250.66, the minimum size grounding electric conductor in a system where the largest ungrounded conductor is 2. Did we already have this question? Are we getting a double? Boy, this should be a gimme for everybody. I think this is a redundant question. Whoop, 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 redundant questions. Should be a no-brainer here. Coming back through, cycling back through. It may be a repeat question, but that means it's just easy to get an answer, right? Whoop, 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 whoop. If this is a repeat and you get it wrong, you haven't been paying attention. I'm just saying. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And did I mention to y'all that I did talk? I believe I talked to Venus, called me the other day. Wonderful young lady. Called me, talked to me, had a great conversation. I love getting the opportunity to talk to you folks. Okay? Peer pressure. I love it. Peer pressure. Stress. You got to defend that title, Josh. Come on now. Don't give up. All right. Let's do the reveal. Obviously, we did have this one before, and that is the answer. And let's just double check the results. Josh, you're still in there. Don't give up. You can't get another one wrong. Bill is ready to prance. Paul is right there as well. Louis is only 1 out or 2 out, so he's right there. Venus is right there, so everybody's still right in there. Okay, so all right, let's go. Next question. Let's go. All right. My apologies, Josh. David, are you picking on him? David's putting the stress on Josh. Well, you know, Josh, when you're going up against a CMECP, it can be stressful. I'm just saying. I mean, think of how I feel. David's always checking my pins, making sure my pins are all even, you know, very professional. All right, so what is the minimum size grounding copper conductor required by 310.12a when the rating of the service or feeder is 150 amperes? It's a weird question. That's a weird question. How it's asking it. That might be a goofball question. So this might be an opportunity for somebody to... I don't write the questions, so this might be an opportunity for somebody to make up some ground because it's a weird question. I don't know. Weird question. Weird question. Weird how this question is weirded. So again, I don't know. Let's see what the answer ends up being. We'll see. We will see what it says the answer is. We're going to just go with what it says, unless I really disagree. So we're going to see here with time. You got 7 seconds. Well, you really got about 20 seconds left. We'll give you a little extra. Little extra time. And again, don't jump on me if it's not, you know, it's a weird question. We'll see. We'll see what it says. All right, ready? We're going to close it out. Y'all are on your pins and needles. B2. Okay. And let me see if I can pull up. B2, it says for 2 copper. So for 150 amperes. All right, so we're talking about grounded copper. So we'll look at it. We'll look at it this way and how we do this question. Okay, so sometimes you get a stupid question, but let's base it on 150. So let's kind of see if this is where it was going with this question. All right, because I don't like that grounding copper conductor. So again, it's using some slang. It didn't say grounded, so we got to assume it's talking about, in this case, it's talking service or feeder. So we're going to say that it's talking about the grounding. So we're looking at 2 different ways here. All right, so let's go to the code real quick. All right, so over here, so for the 150, it'd be a 1 copper, right? So once we establish the size, then, so let me write this down. So it's 1 AWG copper, okay? So now, just for craps and giggles, and again, I don't like the question, but yeah, let's go with it because you could get some crappy questions on an exam, okay? So when we see grounding copper conductor, if it's a service, then it wouldn't be an EGC, right? So it would be maybe the, well, let's see how it works out, okay? So in this case, because it says service or feeder is 150 amps. So either way, the 150 is a 1 gauge. So now we're going to go look at the, let's go to 250.122 real quick, just for craps and giggles. See what size that is based on the 150 amp device. All right, so let's go 250.122. Let me take you there. Hold on. All right, so here. Scroll down, scroll, oh, oops. There we go. So based on the 150, which would be, in this case, it would be a 6. That wasn't the answer, right? If we go back and look at the answer, right? It was a 2, so we know it's not talking about the equipment ground, and it makes more sense because you wouldn't have one for the feeder, right? You wouldn't have it. Chances are we're talking about the grounding, which in this case, more apropos, sounds like it would be more in the 250.102 category, right? For the grounded conductor. So I don't like the words, but since it's referring to 210.12a, that's service, not B, which is feeder. So since it's 310.12a, it's service, and service doesn't have an equipment grounding conductor. So the only plausible thing, I don't go to D yet, so the only plausible thing for us to do is go look at 250.102c, okay, for grounded conductor, all right? So let's do that. So let me go here, and let's go here. Boom, there. All right, let's go down here. Okay, so we said the size was 1, right? So the 1, and it says a grounded conductor here. So if it's a 1, it still says a 6, right? Still says a 6 on it. So that's obviously not the answer. Right? So it's obviously not that. Okay. And here it's going to end up sending us to there. So could it be actually talking about to the electrode? Okay, so the last one, let's go to 66 because it says grounding. Let's just go there. Okay. And here it said, oh, let's go back. Hold on to the question. Let me go back to the question real quick. Okay. So we go here. All right. Now, this is interesting because when I look at this, and we'll go look at David's 310.12d real quick. But when I look at this, I also notice that it says 150 amperes. It doesn't give me a lot of information. So for me, I would look at this and go, well, it's not telling me what system this is. It's not telling me that this is a 12240. I'm gonna have to assume it is, right? So I'm making an assumption. So if I did 150 and I couldn't use table 310.12a because I don't know all the variables, I don't know if it's handling 100% of the loads, I don't know any of that crap. So what if I can't use 310.12a? Now, I don't know this is the result here, but I'm just saying you're thinking that way. So if I had to do that and I had a 150 amp rated device, okay, then I would go to 310.16. And let's just do that real quick. And I'm not using that table. Let's go to 310.16 really quick. And let's say I couldn't use that because all the variables are not there. So let me go here. All right, so I'm going to scroll down so you can see this. So we're going to be in the 75 because it's over 100. And so for the 150, it looks like it would be a 1-aught, okay? If I couldn't use 310.12a, it'd be a 1-aught. So then if I took that 1-aught, right, and then I went to 250, let's go to 102 for that, just for craps and giggles, right? Then I did that, the 1-aught, right? Then that would still give me a 6. So that still wouldn't be a 2. Okay? So let's see here. So this is a bad question. So David says let's look at 310.12, which is going to talk about the grounded conductor in 310.12. So let's go there real quick. Sometimes you get a wonky question, and I don't think there's enough information here to really answer this. So let's go see. So let's see right here. I could be wrong. All right, so let's go down. So again, here is the 150, and that's the one we used, okay? All right, so this is what Dave's talking about grounding. It didn't say grounded conductor, but it says the grounded conductor shall be permitted to be sized smaller than the ungrounded conductor, okay? If the requirements of 220.61, and I don't know all this. So I think what David is saying, the best plausible answer here is that it says it's permitted to be smaller, right? So since 1 is the size, right? 2 is the next size smaller. So this is saying it shall be permitted to be smaller, right? And everything else here would be larger. Is that what you're saying, David? Okay. I think it's a crappy question, okay? So, yeah. So in this scenario, it looks like 2 is smaller, because if you understand how American wire gauge works, right? So 2 is smaller. So if you're just purely answering this question and you're using, like David has there, 310.12d, it's saying it can be smaller. Well, if I'm looking at these choices that I've got, then there is only one choice, and that is that it's permitted to be smaller. So the best possible choices, okay? Now, yes, when it comes to SE cable, so SE cable allows me to size up to 2 times smaller, okay? That type of thing. This is only just saying that it can be smaller, right, David? So 2 times based on the 854 standard, UL 854, that standard allows for the neutral to be 2 times smaller, but it can't be more than 2. You see what I'm saying? This is just saying that it can be smaller. The standard is what says that for SE cable, it can be up to 2 times smaller. This is just saying small. So simply as an exam question, which is a shitty question, sorry for my language, the only answer I can choose if I did see D is 2 gauge, because that is truly smaller than 1 gauge. So that's the answer. It's still a poor question, right? But it most certainly is revolving around 310.12d. Even if we went everywhere that we tried to go and answer this, none of it would make sense. And this starts out because this question is flawed to begin with, because it says grounding copper conductor. Poor language. It should have said, what is the minimum size grounded copper conductor? So be very careful on the exam, but this one's just a matter of reading the question and then looking at it and saying, well, because of the wording, we went on this rabbit hunt. But in reality, and I already knew D was there, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together until we got into it, and then I'm like, well, the only one here that is smaller is 2. But it's a bad question. With that said, did it create an opportunity for anybody to catch up? I mean, hey, it is what it is. So let's see the results here. No, not really. Josh is still in the lead by 1, so it didn't hurt anybody. But kind of a dumb question. But again, it is what it is. All right. Here's the next one. You're getting close to the end now. This is where you got to start making up time. All right. So when using the standard method load calculation for a one-family dwelling, what is the calculation after adding the loads for the general lighting and receptacle circuits, the small appliance burn circuit, and the laundry circuits together? Okay, so as 3,000 is subtracted from the total, the difference is then multiplied by 40. Then 3,000 added back. All right, remember it's a standard method. B, it says 3,000 is subtracted from the total. The difference is multiplied by 35%. Then the 3,000 added back. Okay, again, this is saying, what do you do? Remember that little method we did at the end to apply our demands? This is what it's asking you. Okay, so we already kind of did this. Okay. And then it says, C says 3,000 is multiplied by 40%, then added back to the original load. And then D, it says the total wattage is multiplied by 3, and difference is multiplied by 40%, and then 3,000 added back. Ooh, that's a lot. So anyway, there's only really one plausible answer here. And so you've got 50 seconds to get it in. Don't get caught by the buzzer. Lock in your question. Lock in your answer. That type of thing. And I cannot see what everybody is saying, because it's a big question, so it's blocking it out. So just got to go A, B, C, or D. Let's go. But yeah, David, 2 sizes are based on the UL standards for SE cable. Yes, correct. All right, you got about 20 seconds left. There's a bit of a delay. That other question, again, that just shows you how one word can really screw up a question. On an exam, if you had to spend more than a minute and a half on that one, you mark it and you move on, because it's just a bad worded question. All right, a few more seconds here for everybody to get this one in. We're so close now. It's anybody's ball game. Get those answers in. Avoid the delay. Get it in, because it's going to end any second now. All right, here we go. Going to do the reveal. There you go. We did this earlier, okay? Once you get the 3 VA per square foot, multiply by that your square footage, and then you take the 1,500 VA per small appliance brand circuit, minimum of 2, and then at least 1,500 for the laundry. If you got more than one laundry, it's 1,500 each. Once you have all that together, right? Then it's the first 3,000 at 100%, the remaining up to 100, from 3,001 up to 120,000. That is at 35%, and then you have to add the original 3,000 back to it, okay? All right, so there you go. And where do we get that? That is in 220.42, the method, all right? And let's look at the results. Josh is up there. David is right on there with him. Bill is right there. So I got Josh, and I got 2 CMECPs on your heel. Paul is right there with you. Lewis is right there as well. Okay. These are some great scores, guys. I'm serious. All of you on the top 10 there, those are amazing scores. You'd be very proud. All right, you ready for the next question? Let's go. There it is. When using the standard method load calculation on a one-family dwelling to calculate the load for 4 or more fasten-in-place appliances rated a quarter horsepower or greater or 500 watts or greater, you must divide the total of all the loads by the number of loads, multiply the total of the loads by 57%, multiply the total wattage by the number of appliances, then divide the number of appliances, or multiply the total of all the loads by 75%. Which is it? A, B, C, or D? Okay, we kind of talked about this one earlier. This is allowance for you when you're doing the standard method. If you have 3, you don't get to apply any demands. If you have 4 or more, you get to add some demands onto it. But they have to be a quarter horsepower or greater, or they could be 500 watts or greater, okay, to do this. Okay, that's the only ones that you can apply the demands to it. Okay. Now that does not mean that you don't count loads that are less than that. Okay, there's some allowances in the code, but typically to be able to apply this demand, they have to be a quarter horsepower or greater or 500 watts or greater to be able to apply demand to them. Okay, so A, B, C, or D, get it in. Your time is clicking down. We're getting close to the end here. We're 3 hours into the night's thing. So only advice some people may say is, Paul, can you keep it to an hour or 2 hours? Please let me know that feedback. If you don't like a 3-hour session, I'm more than happy to cut them short. Trust me, I got to stay here too. So I'm more than happy to cut them short, maybe make it 20 questions instead, but we'll deal with that after we get through tonight. All right, there's a timer. Make sure you get your answers in there. But I like to thank all of the little nuggets you're getting over these 3 hours that we're spending, 3.5 hours, that you're getting something out of it. I'm hoping you are. All right. I know it's late for many of you. Okay. There you go. All right. All right. So the timer's up. Let's reveal the results. Boom. Remember, when you're doing appliances in a standard method, okay. Let's see. So the alarm at school said soon. You got to hang in there, Bill. I told you earlier there was about 10 questions left. Now it's probably about 6 or 7 or so. So we got to hang in there. Hang in there. Now, okay. Or you could give up and let Josh just take the title because you know Josh ain't going nowhere, right? All right. So remember when it's the appliances that is 4 or more, if they're a quarter horsepower or greater or 500 watts or greater, then you can apply 75% to that under 220.53 of the NEC. Okay. All right. Next question. Let me reset the timer. Oh, we got to look at the results. And it's Josh, 31. David, you're right there on his heels. Bill, you're right there. Okay. All right. Next question. Let's go. All right. All 15 and 20 amp general use receptacle outlets for small appliance and laundry outlets are considered continuous loads and must be rated at 135%, isolated and therefore must be calculated independently. C, are part of the general lighting loads, or D, specific use circuits. Ooh, I don't know, guys. This may throw somebody if you're sleepy. If you're sleepy and you don't get it, you might, I don't know. See what happens. All 15 20 amp general use receptacle outlets for small appliance and laundry outlets are considered what? Specific use circuits, part of the general lighting load. Okay. Now, think about this one. Stop and pause. Think about the calculation we just did. And I'm going to leave that there for you. And it's kind of, because right now we're getting down to the make or break. All right, some answers here. Okay, got a few more seconds here to get your answers in. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I had mine. I had my coffee. I'm empty. I drained it. Drained it all out. All right. Got a few more seconds to change your answer. If you want to change your answer, or you're going to hold pat. And I'll reset the timer. And we've got a couple more seconds here. I'll let it go. And we'll do the reveal. It's only 11:30. That's right. There you go. It's part of the overall calculation where we do the 3 EVA per square foot. We do the minimum of 2 small appliances, and we do the laundry. It's all part of that general calculation. So it's all part of that lighting. For example, people get confused when they see that the 3VA covers the general receptacle or general use. But in that same calculation, when we add the small appliance at 1500, it's all part of that one calculation, right? In the 220.42 calc. So it's all kind of part of that. So I can see where, everybody would, kind of think, well, I don't know if it's the same, but it is. Now, are they separate circuits? Absolutely. Okay. But as far as this is concerned, they're part of the overall general lighting load calculation. But they do have their own value. Okay, so they do have their own value. All right, so let's do the reset. Let's see where we're at on the thing here. Josh is clinging on. David is on his heels. Okay, Bill is right there too, getting down to the end. All right, let's do it again. Next question. Here we go. When using the optional method load calculation for 1 and 2 family dwelling, the small appliance branch circuit can be included with the A, general lighting load and subjected to the demand factors provided in 220.45. B, laundry clothes dryer exemption and therefore be removed from the calculation. C, heating and air conditioning loads with a reduced rating. Or D, general appliance load reduction measures applied for specific areas. That's a lot to do it. So we're looking at the optional method. Okay. And there's only really one answer here that can get you. The other ones are a lot of words. A lot of word salad here, but it's only really one that could that'll work here. Give you enough time to answer it. Get it in there. Again, you're pushing it right down here to the wire. Think about your answers. Got about 37 seconds. Remember, optional method. Go look at it. Y'all know where it's at. See what it says. See what it says. Y'all using the optional method. Now I don't know if I'm all into all of the references, but I don't know if I don't know if I agree with all the references. All right. Like a code reference is, code reference could be off, but I think the general rule is going to apply. I think there's some all right, everybody, okay, let's see, ready to reveal? Reveal. Now, before everybody goes freaking crazy, I understand that 220.45 is under the standard method, okay? So this is a little messed up in the question, but it's still the same type of scenario, okay? So bear with me. because under the optional method, when you're looking at 220.82, it's the same scenario. It is basically you add the 3 VA per square foot, you add the small appliances, you add the nameplates, you add everything up, and then you're able to apply the 100% to the first 10 and 40 to the remainder. So again, a little bit wonky question here, but the concept's still the same. Instead of saying table 220.45, it should have been 220.82. Okay, so don't nobody start throwing crap at me. Okay, that type of thing. It's, you know, I know somebody, Venus already did. That's wrong, Chris. I don't write these questions. But the real answer here is that the B, C, and D are not applicable. The only real logic could have been A, even though they got the wrong table. Okay, you get what I'm saying? It's the only logic, okay, in this. So even if you get a crappy question, and again, I don't write these, but it gives me an opportunity to explain it, that in this question, the small appliance circuit, if we go look at the code right here, okay, under the dwelling unit, general loads, you see the normal 3 VA, you see here's your small appliance, and here's your laundry, and all of that is under the normal general calculation when it comes to the optional method. And again, that's where you do the first 10,000 at 100 and the remainder at 40. Okay, so yeah, the table 220.45 is for the standard method. It's not for the optional method. But obviously B can't be the answer, right? Right? Laundry clothes dryer exemption and therefore be removed from the calculation. That doesn't make sense, right? Okay. So, and then D doesn't make sense. General appliance load reduction measures applied to the specific area. What the hell does that mean? That is that. So this is an example of, you may get a question on an exam, and you got to remember, whoever's writing these questions could be writing some crappy questions. You have to pick the best plausible answer. You got to pick one. And the only one here that's plausible is A, even though the reference to table 220.45 is wrong, okay? Now, obviously, it can't be C because it says heating and air conditioning loads with a reduced rating. What the hell does that mean? So, again, funky question, but you're going to get funky questions. It is what it is. Don't kill the messenger. The learning moment, right? All right, let's go to another one. Maybe we'll get a better question here. All right. Let's do the results and see what we got. Didn't change anything. Scores are still the same. So, all right. So that good. It didn't change anything. So let's go to the next question. All right. Laundry branch circuit loads can be included with the general lighting loads and household electric cooking appliance loads with a reduced rating. B, be reduced by 50%. C, subjected to the demand factors provided in table 220.45. Or D, therefore be removed from the calculation. Okay, so again, this one goes back to making the proper assumption is you're always going to be dealing with the standard unless stated otherwise. So whoever wrote that other question, I think they really wanted to say standard, but they just threw optional in there. It's an easy way to fix that question, but I'm not going to fix it because I don't care. But because I'm going to spend the time to explain it. And then if I do that, it really doesn't matter, right? Because it's a learning moment. Right? Right. All right. Hanging in there. Clock is counting down. It's getting down to the wire. I can't believe we've almost been 4 hours. Time flies when you're having a ball. Y'all that have stuck with me, diehards. But if y'all do, send me some comments. Let me know if you'd like to reduce it down to just make sure we just do 20 questions or 15 questions. If you'd rather it go quicker, that's fine too. When I do these, I don't do them very often, right? So I don't mind going 4 hours because I really neglect giving you guys the education that I used to give you all the time. So, you know, if I could spend 4 hours with you and give you insight and answer questions and break things down, you know, hey, it's my treat. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy hanging with you. Some people don't like it. They'll say I'm long-winded and they've already taken off, and that's fine too. I am not the flavor of the week for everybody. I can promise you that. Okay? And I annoy people for some reason also, so it's all good. Again, I am Paul. I'm never going to change me, so maybe on a Saturday that could work. Yeah, we might do some Saturdays. Again, this one is just, I sometimes just do these random. Yeah, Josh, I don't do much streaming anymore. Okay? That type of thing, so. But yeah, I can see some people want some shorter ones, so. How about y'all let me know? I'm going to do a poll over on our thing. Josh, do a poll over on the NECchat.com. So if you want to vote on it, do a poll over there and do 15 question, 20 question, 25 question, or whatever. Do a poll on something like that, Josh, when you get a chance over on the our own message board. Do a poll and see what people want to answer. And we'll see what it does. If you want to vote in that poll, you got to go. If you're already a Fast Trax member, you just log into our message board just like you would anything else. And I'll show y'all how to do that if you want. All right? All right, so let's reveal the answer. Boom. Absolutely. Now, this one is more accurate to the other one. Remember, you're still going to be adding the 1500 VA. You're still going to be doing the minimum of 2 small appliances. You're still going to do the 3 VA per square foot. And then you get to apply the demands to that. So all of that falls under that general lighting load application, okay? A lot of people get screwed up by that. They say general lighting. They say, well, why are you doing receptacles? Because it gives you the permission in 220.42 to do that. It says that, oh, by the way, those general use receptacles are also covered in that 3 VA general lighting load, okay? So it gives you that permission. A lot of people would like it to say general lighting and general use receptacle loads, but it is something that it's just become, you have to understand the code to get it, okay? All right, let's see where our results are. Josh is still hanging on by 1, kind of pulled ahead here at the end. All right, let's do it. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I don't know when the end is going to be. Let's reveal the question. Here we go. Let's go. Getting close to the end. What can individual household cooking appliances be rated using table 220.55 demand factors? Okay, what can an individual household cooking appliance, so an individual, okay, be rated? Okay, so it says, when can individual household cooking appliances be derated using table 220.55 demand factors? When there are 2 or more cooking appliances, okay. When the appliance is rated more than 1750 watts, okay. When there are 4 or more cooking appliances, okay. Or D, household cooking appliances cannot be derated. That's an interesting thought process. All right, so when, and we saw this earlier, when does table 220.55 kick in that I can apply a demand factor, okay? Because if it's a less than a certain value, then I have to take it at 100%. Right now, we're trying to qualify if I can take a demand factor, okay? That probably gave away the answer, but we're getting close to the end. And I am thoroughly impressed with all of you. Scores are amazing. You're getting it. And that's what I want to see. Great questions, poor questions. At the end of the day, I tell people all the time, even bad questions make you better because they make you think. And if you question an answer or you question the question, that means you're getting it. Really, I have people contact me all the time and say, Paul, this question sounds wonky. And I'm like, it may be wonky, but the way you're starting to think, the process of how you look at stuff, and that's not just for an exam. That's in the real world, out in the field. You start analyzing the question. You start cherry picking it apart. You start looking at it. That's what makes you better than everybody else, okay? I remember being an electrician is not about just passing an exam. It's not about the fact that you can bend conduit. It's the fact that you not only know the code, but you also know how to use your hands. That's what makes you the best. And look, people may say, I just get a paycheck. I don't care. I'm just going to blindly do electrical. I'm sorry. Call me a nerd. Call me whatever you want to call me. I've been called some bad things. I take a lot of pride in this profession. I don't think that electricians are any less important than doctors and lawyers and you know, well, I was going to say politicians, but they're not very important. So at the end of the day, I hold this profession high. And I always want to be learning the code, getting better, stronger, taking a lot of pride. It's not just about getting a paycheck. It's about being the best you can be so that when you walk into a room of electricians, you're looking around going, I'm better than everybody else in here. And it's going to show in your work. It's going to show in your company. I'm serious. It's a mental thing. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So what are the answers? Let's go on and reveal the question. Boom. Remember what it said? When you go look at the table, it says 1 3/4. 1 3/4 is what? 1,750. 3/4 of a kilowatt is 750 watts. 1 kilowatt is 1,000 watts. Okay. So 1,750, that is the threshold minimum of when you can apply demands. If it's anything less than that, you still got to account for it in your load calc. Some people don't tell you that. You don't just get rid of the load. You don't just forget it exists. You still have to add it in there. You just don't get to apply any demands. You just take it at full value in your load calculation. You don't get to get any demands on it. Okay. All right. Let's see how everybody did. Josh is still clinging in. He's nail biting right now, I guarantee you. All right, let's go. Next question. There is no next question. Wow. Congratulations, Josh. Woo! Josh, congratulations. Right there at the end, Josh, David, and Bill. That's impressive. 2 CMECPs right there at the end. Louis, you came up at the end pushing hard. Wow, Venus, impressive. All of you. Paul, right at the end, hanging in there. We had some wonky questions in there, but at the end of the day, that is amazing, okay? Pulled it out at the end. Josh retains his title, wears his belt, okay? All right? That's impressive, guys. Really great job, all 3 of you, for coming in first, second, and third. So as tradition, all 3 of you are going to get something. So here's how you do it. You ready? All right, so I'm going to take you guys over here. Let me show you what you do, and this will serve for you folks in the future on how you do this. So this is our website, folks. So you're going to come to our website, and right here, you see where this says community. Okay, this is at fasttracksystem.com, or you can go to necchat.com, click on community, and you're going to come to this board. You can change the color right here, so I can change it to black. I like a black background. Here you see my announcement that I did earlier today, okay? All right, now you see I'm not logged in, right? So hold on for a second. Let me make sure I get this on full screen for everybody. Hold on. I want to make sure we get it all. Bear with me. Okay. All right, maybe harder to see. All right, so in here, once you log in, okay, when you log in, now again, if you're a Fast Track student, you use your same login. If you don't, you just got to give us an email or set up a username and password to join this. You see on the side, we have a lot of topics, general discussion, things like that. But I'll show you what you do in order to claim your prize. You're going to go over here and you're going to log in. All right, I'm going to log in, show you what you do. Okay, so I'm going to log into the board. All right. Now you can turn this message off if you want, guys. You just go right up here and put hide the banner if you don't want to see that. All right. So Josh already has this ready. I got to approve it. So I'm going to go on and review it and approve it while I got Josh here. At some point, Josh, we'll get to where you get to a certain level and you don't have to have your stuff reviewed. But right now we have a limiter set on there for approval. So there you go. It's live. Let us know what you think right here. All right. So now here's what you're going to do. You're going to come over in here and you're going to actually go into the members. Right? And once you log in and you're going to click on me. And you're going to send me a message. See right here where it says message? You're going to send me a message and you're going to give me your full mailing address. And I'm going to send, and I will send you a little something for you, Josh, you, David, and you, Bill. All right. So again, that's how you log in right here. Just come in here. You'll see mine and you'll click on message, click message. And here you can put your information right here. And then you can send the message. Obviously, I can't send a message to myself. Okay, but that's how you're going to send me your address, and that's how you're going to get it. And make sure you come over here and vote, whether you want 30, 25, 20, 15. If you figure, guys, how long is that going to be in your mind? Just think, if it's typically 2 minutes a question, then again, if you did 30, then that would be approximately. What is that? Probably what? What is that? Easy math, right? So, I would say, and give a buffer, I would say 30 questions probably it would be, well, let's see. How many questions do we have tonight so we can get a judge? So this was 4 hours. Josh, we may have to alter this. Let's see. Let me see here. Let's look at this real quick. Josh, let's go over to the trivia real quick. I want to see how many questions we had tonight. Bear with me. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. We had 40 questions tonight, okay? We had 40. So, Josh, we may want to alter this, right? And so let's alter this and let's do 15, 20, and 25. And let's get rid of that one there. And let's just do, well, no, you know what? Let's leave 30 because there's some people that may like a long one. All right. We're going to leave 30. That works for me. Okay. So basically I don't need to update. We'll leave it. That's fine. You did good. You did good. All right. So there you go. So, we did 4 hours, 40. There you go. 4 hours. So about 20 questions would be about a 2 hours. So if you like the 20, vote for 20. If you like the, we're not going to put a 40 because we'll leave a little buffer in there. We'll say 30-ish, that type of thing. Okay. So anyway, let's start with this. Let us know, because if everybody likes 30, then obviously they like about a 3 hour or whatnot, something like that. But I can adjust it either way. I can adjust it down to that type of thing. Okay. All right, folks, that's how you get your prizes, guys. Thank all of you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you all. I enjoyed spending some time with you. And, Josh, somebody's already voted. Josh, I think he already voted for, he likes the 30 question. Josh, you can add the 40 in there if you want. If you want to, that's up to you. You could add as whatever you want. So at the end of the day, I appreciate you folks hanging out there with me. Hopefully you learned a little something tonight. And maybe we'll do horse racing Friday evening. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. But if you go over to the message board, necchat.com, necchat.com, then that's a quick way to get to the board. Either register, or if you already have already a member or registered over on the fasttracksystem.com, you can use the exact same login. It's perfectly fine, okay, because they're tied together. All right, folks, I appreciate you. Have a great evening, and I will catch you. I guess now it's close to morning. 6 minutes from now, it'll be tomorrow already. Take care, everybody. God bless. We'll catch you maybe Wednesday on a horse race event. Peace.